Welcome back, guys. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It's an Am I the A-hole compilation day today, and I'm going to read a new post at the beginning. Super excited for this, and I hope you guys are too. And with that being said, enjoy, guys. Am I the a-hole for leaving without explanation after my mother-in-law pretended not to hear me? I, 32 female, have a 7-month-old daughter with my husband, 34 male. My country does ensure a long maternity leave for up to 2 years. However, I'm self-employed and I can't afford to lose my client, so I try to work while my daughter is sleeping, and also on the weekends. Lately, she's been teething, so I'm operating on little to no sleep. I have an issue with my mother-in-law. She does what she wants, despite people asking her not to, and then says oops or denies even doing it. Stuff like that. It was annoying before the baby, but after she was born, it's become insufferable. My husband talked to her and set boundaries, so she stopped doing it when my husband is present, but she still does it when it's only me in the room. So we agreed that she can't visit when my husband is not home, and my husband is not to leave me alone with her. And because of these boundaries, we didn't see them for 1.5 months. They lived 2 hours away, and we did not find a mutually good time. They finally came over last Sunday. 20 minutes into the visit, my father-in-law wants to see a lawnmower that has broken down, so my husband goes into the backyard with him, leaving me, the baby, and mother-in-law inside. She's drinking coffee and eating cake. She sits next to my daughter on her playmat and tries to feed her some of the cake. I immediately told her no, she can't have that. Mother-in-law pretends not to hear me and proceeds putting her spoon to my daughter's closed mouth. I repeat, stop doing that, she can't have cake yet, and definitely not from your spoon. Still, she pretends not to hear me. I repeat it again, still nothing, and now there's cake on my baby's face and she's fussing. So I grab my daughter and I go to my husband and father-in-law, subtly gesturing him to come back inside. After about 5 minutes, mother-in-law decided to go outside too and was approaching me and the baby. I gestured to my husband again and he made an annoyed face. I had no energy to deal with any of this, so I stood up, went inside, grabbed the baby bag and my car keys, and I went to the car without saying a word. Mother-in-law asked where I was going and I ignored her. I drove to my sister's, which is about a 15-minute drive. There were some missed calls from my husband, so I texted him where we were and that we'll be back in the evening. It was time for my daughter's nap and she fell asleep breastfeeding, so my sister told me to go to sleep too. After she woke up and had her milk, my sister took her and told me to go back to sleep. I slept for like 3 hours in total and my phone was on silent, so my husband's calls were ignored and apparently his parents left disappointed and mother-in-law cried. My husband is furious that I did this. We're still fighting about it. He can't believe that I was so rude and took the baby away when his parents came to see her after such a long time. He's angry that I couldn't have waited a few minutes so that he could finish talking about the lawnmower. I told him I'm too exhausted to deal with this crap. He left me alone with mother-in-law despite our agreement, be it only 10 minutes, so I left. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. Your mother-in-law needs to get some bloody respect. You said you were alone for a few minutes and immediately she's doing that. And yeah, you and your husband had an agreement. Yeah, this comment, not the a-hole. Mother-in-law can't even go 10 minutes without trying to pull something. That's not your fault or problem. And OP said, I also think it was deliberate, not the cake feeding part because this was expected of her. She told me to give my daughter water and tea at 3 weeks, so I'm not surprised. But the pretending not to hear me part was definitely intentional and probably some kind of a power play. Yeah, for sure, OP. It sounds like it was definitely intentional. And yeah, what do you expect, mother-in-law? Like, you can't not respect somebody or their boundaries and then expect them to be nice to you. The top comment says, not the a-hole. Your mother-in-law should respect your boundaries, and especially when it's about your baby, and your husband should have had your back on that. I do understand that it must be uncomfortable and hurt him seeing his mother cry and be upset, but then he should talk to her about it instead of making you the bad person. The only thing I think you did wrong was that you didn't pick your daughter up after the first time you said it and mother-in-law didn't listen. Maybe that would have made things go more smooth, but then again, it shouldn't really be necessary. I do think it's important to stand up for your boundaries, and your husband should support you on that. Yeah, no, your husband should be supporting you, OP. And your husband also needs to realize how disrespectful his mum is. Like, what, it's okay that she pretends that OP pretty much doesn't even exist? Nah, you're not the a-hole, OP. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my girlfriend's plane ticket after she decided to stay longer on her trip without me? So here's the deal. My 28 male girlfriend, 27 female of 2 years, planned a 2-week vacation to Italy with me. I paid for the flights, hotels and everything because I make more than she does. And I did want it to be a stress-free trip. Everything was great until the last day where she tells me she wants to stay longer to find herself and think about our relationship without me. What the hell? Oh my god. OP, I'm sorry. She didn't discuss this with me beforehand, and it completely blindsided me. I was hurt and I told her that if she does feel like she needs time alone, then she should also be independent financially during this extension of her trip. I said I wouldn't be paying for her new return ticket whenever she decides to come back. Now she's upset, calling me unsupportive and selfish, and some of her friends are saying that I'm being an a-hole because I left her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for her new plane ticket home after she chose to extend her trip without any heads up? Hell no, OP. You haven't done anything selfish or unsupportive? That's bloody ridiculous. Update, thank you to all the people who responded, especially the early ones who gave me some outside verification of me probably not being the a-hole. I don't feel comfortable saying that I'm completely blameless here, because you're only getting one side of the story and I do need to take responsibility for my part in this whole thing, but I guess I never realized how good my girlfriend was at making me feel like unreasonable crap was normal and that I was the crazy one. So here's the update, we're both back in America now and she's packing her crap to go stay with her family for a bit until she can find a new place. Soon after I posted, it was time to go to the airport, so I did, without her. I'm one of those people who arrives early because I never think I'll get to the gate in time, because everything that could go wrong probably would go wrong. It never does, but especially how I felt my luck was going, I didn't want to push it. I was there for about an hour by myself, mulling things over and talking to my mum. I looked at a couple of responses on this post, but I didn't trust that I wouldn't lose it if I started responding, and I definitely didn't want to burst into tears while I was in the airport. As I was talking to my mum, my girlfriend showed up. I guess she thought I was bluffing, but she had a rude awakening when the hotel staff kicked her out of the room because I'd only paid through that day. I took no small amount of satisfaction in this, not gonna lie. She'd been so concerned about the plane ticket that she didn't even stop to think about where she was gonna stay. And as many of you guessed, she met somebody while we were in Italy. She was quick to tell me that it was just a physical attraction and that they hadn't done anything, but she had his at and was wanting to see if it went anywhere. I guess that's what I get for not feeling well and wanting to stay in one night while she went out to explore. Like what, you want to stay in one night and she goes out and finds a new partner? Are you joking? That's so awful. Obviously, I told her things were over between us, even though she tried to make it sound like nothing had happened. The fact was, A, I couldn't feel like I could trust her, and B, I don't really want to be with somebody who feels like it's okay to still keep her options open when she's been in a monogamous relationship for the past 2 years. The flight home was awkward as hell and she tried really hard to give another pitch for why we should stay together on the drive home from the airport. I think as we got closer to home, reality started to set in and she realized that she'd just thrown a lot away. So yeah, I'm jet lagged and physically and emotionally exhausted. I'm just kind of numb at this point. Oh, you're so not the a-hole, OP. And so sad too. And what was that stuff about how you left her stranded? It was 100% her decision. Yeah, like this comment says, to think about our relationship without me. The relationship without you is her being single, and to bloody spring it on you last minute and to imply that it's about whether or not you'll stay together and then expect you to pay her way. She chose not to get on the plane where her ticket was already paid for by you and wanted a new ticket, not the a-hole. It was her choice to incur more expenses for you without your consent. Adding in the to think about our relationship without you just makes it sound extra sketchy while still acting entitled to your money. Imagine going on a trip to Italy with your partner. Everything's meant to be fun and beautiful, and they spring this on you at the end of it. The top comment says, not the a-hole, she can find herself on her own dime. That's reasonable and fair. Now she's upset, calling me unsupportive and selfish, and some of our friends are saying I'm being an a-hole because I left her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. You've been supportive and unselfish. You didn't complain or become difficult. You respected her decision to stay and find herself. Supportive does not mean you have to pay for her choices. And no, you didn't strand her in a foreign country without financial help. It was her decision to stay behind. All you did was respect her decision. However, it was not your obligation to fund her decision. She's a grown woman, which means she is responsible for her choices and her financial independence. You invited her on a couple's trip. Well, the couple's trip is over. She decided to stay on her own. That's no longer part of the deal. She has every right to stay behind, but she also has every right to pay for that out of her own pocket. Has she been this manipulative before? Red flag. And saying I need to find myself when all they did was find another guy. Oh. Yeah, like this comment says too, I find the person in the wrong is usually the one who's running to their friend to share their narrative on the matter. She is the selfish one in this situation, 10,000%. You paid for everything. She accepted that. The last day she tells you that she doesn't want to use the ticket tomorrow that you already paid for so she can find herself and think about the relationship. In what world would you finance her thinking about your relationship? That's what's tremendously selfish here. Not that this would excuse her inappropriate timing to thinking about your relationship, but along with dropping this on you one day before your departure, she should have been the one saying that she'd refund the ticket she's wasting that you already paid for and pay her own way. To me, this sounds like she wants some Italian ding-dong, but that's just an assumption at this point. I hope along with not paying for her new ticket, you also aren't paying for her accommodations or any other expenses. If you're stateside and she is still in Italy, I hope you take this time to think about the relationship. You are not selfish. She is the one not only being selfish, but she's taking advantage of your support and in turn is leaving you thinking, what? She's gonna stay and potentially cheat and think about dumping you while expecting you to pay? Yeah, that's right. Oh, the audacity. And lastly, the friends are delusional. You didn't leave her stranded in a foreign country without financial help. She chose to stay past the accepted departure date. Why would the assumption be that you pay for everything? Is she not an adult? If she can make a personal decision to waste your money and disrespect you while implying that she's gonna think about the relationship relationship. She should have had a plan to pay for it like a bloody adult does. Edit, I went to the bathroom and I thought of a great response. I'm imagining if a woman said this to me and it was to think about the relationship, and I would have said, alright, I'm cancelling your return ticket. You can stay or do whatever you need to. There's no relationship to think about though because we're over. Yeah, how sad. You're not the a-hole, OP. The next one is called Am I the a-hole? My husband tells me to stop asking for help and just to do it myself. Today my husband, my 15-month-old son, and I went to a friend's place for a birthday celebration. While eating, I was holding my son and asking for a napkin because he was making me and myself wet and dirty. And as my hands were full and my son was sitting on my lap, I asked my husband as nice as I can for a napkin. For this, he had to get up and walk like 5 meters, but he decided that I don't need one and made a joke to use my pants to smear the mess on. And I asked again. Nope, he didn't get me one still. Anyway, in the car later, I told him I didn't understand why he can't help me, and he said again that he thought it was not needed to get a napkin. But if I'm asking, that means I need one. He disagrees. He got mad at me for telling him this and said that I shouldn't nag because after all, he spent all day with me and for me with my friends. Also, he told me next time I should just give him the baby and go get them myself. Am I the a-hole for asking for help? Definitely not, OP. Update, this morning he acted very kind to me, asked me how I slept, if he should cook for me, and he cleaned a lot. This tells me that I was right to be upset, and he knows he was not good to me, but he hasn't talked to me about it yet or apologized. Also, thank you for all the powerful comments and different opinions. I don't think he deserves all the harsh comments, and also divorce is not necessary, but he does have to improve. Update 2. So far all he talked to me about was helping me or if I needed something. And one thing was especially surprising today. He packed an empty luggage with winter clothes to make more room in the closet. First I thought he was leaving, but then he asked, I'm putting my winter clothes away. That's a good idea, no? With a cute voice. But no apology or explanation yet, and as long as I don't get this, I won't interact more than necessary. Update number 3. We talked and he was sorry for all the points I needed to hear to be sure that we think the same way and have similar values. He told me he had a little bit too much to drink and wanted to be funny, but he also knows that he shouldn't do it like this. Also, he explained to me that when I mentioned the napkin, he got mad because he helped me a lot that day, and all I do is finish the day with complaining about one thing instead of seeing all the good things that he does do. In the future, he'll tell me, for example, I'll help you more next time and I'll take it seriously when you need it. But I'm also sad that all you think of is one mistake that I made when the rest of the day I put so much effort in. So no divorce, no abuse, but it was really not fine. Yeah, of course you're not the a-hole, OP. The top comment says not the a-hole, your husband sucks. Agree with him though, next time give him the baby. In fact, anytime you need to do anything, give him the baby. He'll go back on his word real fast. The next one is called Am I the a-hole for screaming and crying at my son's accident? I, 26 female, have a 4-year-old son. We were celebrating my husband's birthday, so a good few people were at our house. We have a shaky old bookshelf that we use for old VHS movies that has fallen down twice now. We've been meaning to get rid of it, but we've decided to focus on our living situation first. My son was lying down on his back with his feet to the bottom of the shelf out of boredom, while I was deciding on a position for the couch. A small earthquake happened, and it began to fall towards him. I screamed, admittedly loud, threw myself over the couch and pulled him out of the way by his arm. He laughed and called me girl flash because I was so fast, and I just held onto him and began to cry. People who had heard my scream were in the room now, and he explained what happened. My sister reassured me and said to stop crying, but I couldn't. She got annoyed after a bit and said that I was being dramatic and that he was fine. I said rather harshly, you watched that shelf almost fall onto your daughter and just go back to normal. She said, just as you as ever, and left me alone. When my husband came back from his dad taking him for his birthday gift, he was console shopping during the incident. My sister said, sorry about her, you're in for a hell of a marriage. He asked me what she was talking about, noticing I was still misty-eyed. I explained and he just said nothing, put the VHS tapes in a box, and dragged the shelf to a garage and locked it. He asked to not invite her places again. I feel like I ended his birthday on a sour note. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, I don't know about this one. It is labelled as not the a-hole. You knew the shelving was unstable and you left it there. You the a-hole. And like this one, I wouldn't say you're an a-hole, but you definitely sound overly dramatic. If the shelf is bolted to the wall, why are you so terrified? If you're that terrified, why are you allowing your child to lay in front of the shelf with his feet on it? If the shelf didn't even fall and nobody was hurt at all, why are you crying uncontrollably for an extended period of time? But then also comments like this one, not the a-hole. It doesn't even sound like your husband is upset. He seems very level-headed about the incident. Your sister dredged up her history with you to make this a bigger deal than it needed to be. And the top comment, not the a-hole, it's adrenaline. It affects people differently, but there was nothing unusual in your response. Mothers have been known to lift cars off of children. It's a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I can see this one from both sides. Like, yeah, I don't feel like there's anything weird with how you responded. But also, yeah, if the shelf was a worry, then you probably should have sorted that out first. But then also, didn't we read that it was bolted to the wall or something? So like, it's not really a worry anyway. Kinda confusing. But yeah, also, your sister was being awful. So there's a lot of different aspects to this. The next one is called Am I the a-hole for saying my ex-mother-in-law is not family? I, 34 female, am in the process of divorcing my husband, 33 male. We're on good terms and we still live together in my house. The house is in my name and was bought before marriage, which means my husband husband is not entitled to it, according to my country's law. He hasn't moved out yet because he has financial issues. I'm okay with it. He just started a new job and hopes to move out in a month or two. My mother-in-law is a nasty person and we never got along. She never liked me and she made sure I didn't feel welcome in the family. Last month she called me on my birthday to tell me that she's glad that she no longer has to buy me anything for my birthday because I'm no longer family. She'd recently found out that we'd be getting a divorce. Yesterday she called me. My ex was at work and didn't pick up. That's why she called me, not him, to inform me that she'd be coming over for 2 days next week because she'll be having a medical procedure done in our city, the capital. She does not drive, so she can't go straight home after the procedure. She was planning to spend the night and take a bus the next day. I told her absolutely no. She's no longer family. The house is mine and I don't want random people I don't even like in my house. Yeah, fair enough, OP. Neither she nor my ex can afford a hotel. He can drive her back because of his new work. I won't because she's no longer my problem. My ex is super angry with me and told me I shouldn't be taking up my frustrations on his mother. I'm not. I just don't want her here because I don't like her and I don't feel like I have to put up with this anymore. We're no longer a couple. Am I the a-hole? Hell no, you're not the a-hole, OP. The audacity that they feel like they can even come and stay after what they've said to you. Nah, don't let them in your house. It's not your issue anymore, not even a little bit. I think you're completely right, OP. Yeah, this comment, if you want your mother to stay with you, go get your own place. Since we're broken up, you're a guest in my house and you're not entitled to your own guests. If you let her in, your things will be outside within the hour, not the a-hole. OP, the cool thing about being done with the relationship is that you don't need to argue anymore. If he's upset, that's his problem, not yours. Yeah, definitely. And the entitlement too. They called you on your birthday to say that they're happy that you're no longer in their family. Ew. And now they want to come and stay? Get out of here. And the ex is upset at you because you're not letting them stay? Yeah, that's not your issue, OP. And like this comment says, not the a-hole. 1, you're being generous enough to even let your ex stay. He does not get a say. Number 2, she is not family anymore. And number 3, she burnt her bridges when she was the a-hole to you. And 4, it's your house and you don't have to have people you don't like in it. Yeah, especially if they've been awful to you in the past. See you later. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. And please get rid of your ex-husband. Don't even let them stay anymore. Kick them out. It's not even your issue anymore. Yeah, like this other comment says, not the a-hole. Your ex-mother-in-law made it very clear that you aren't even considered her family, so she doesn't get to ask for anything. Having said that, please get rid of your ex-husband now. He will not go away peacefully, as he said, and him being angry about your choice about his mother is a red flag. He clearly thinks you owe his family favors and also thinks your actions are a manner of vengeance against him. That's a huge red flag. Yeah, definitely. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for telling my twin sister she'll never fit in with us? And this one is marked as the a-hole. I, 29 female, have 4 siblings. Mark, 33 male, Josh, 31 male, Eva, 29 female, and Tony, 26 male. Me and Eva are fraternal twins. Our mother was a stay-at-home mum, but she was emotionally absent. Growing up, our father was hard on us. He wanted his first son to be a doctor, so Mark had to work all the time. He had Josh learn violin at 4 years old and made him play for hours. Tony had to be a lawyer. I had the chance to be a beautiful kid, and I participated in beauty pageants starting at 3. Eva was free of this because she wasn't beautiful, and my father didn't think a woman could do much anyway. Wow, okay. She always had liberty and could do whatever she wanted without pressure on her shoulders. She could have friends, had no care about her grades, and didn't have to work her ass off every day. We're not proud of it, but we tended to exclude her since she was slacking off while we were working so hard. She also was a problematic teen. She was skipping classes, hung around with a bad crowd, and drank. She even disappeared for a week without notice when we were 15, stating after that she wanted to get away with her boyfriend for a road trip, while I wasn't even allowed to leave the house for a night because my parents wanted to make sure that I did my work and would only eat what I was allowed to. Eva would throw tantrums saying that she was neglected and nobody would care if she disappeared. I was enraged with her because she never realized the chance that she had, and we only grew apart from that point. After high school, I went far away and I started working as a makeup artist. I eloped at 26 with Eli, 27 male, and I never looked back. Last month, our father passed away, and my siblings and I went to the family home for the funeral. We stayed for 3 weeks and we reconnected a lot. Mark had a breakdown at 23 from all the pressure and barely recovered. He's now happier, got a job as a tech in a lab, is married and has 2 kids. Josh stopped violin and is a drummer and a piano teacher, and Tony is a public defender. Eva chose to be a social worker. It was a bit weird with Eva since we hadn't seen each other for years, and we gave up contact too. She once again tried to dismiss what we went through, saying that she was just as abused as us, even though that is nowhere near true. One evening, she completely flipped out on us, calling us a-holes and saying that we were like our father and excluded her. She kept going on about how our parents never took an interest in her, neither did we, and that she went through hell thinking that she was worthless. Mark started to cry, so I took Eva out and I lashed out at her, saying that she was the a-hole for being jealous of our misery and that she will never fit in with us because she never got abused, and it was insane of her to claim that she had. Oh, get out of here, OP. She left that night and didn't apologize to any of us. Yeah, well, she doesn't need to. You need to apologize to her. When I went home, I cried a lot and I told everything to my husband, expecting him to support me. But he said that I should be the one to call and apologize to my sister. Yeah, definitely. So am I the a-hole? Like this comment says, Eva sure as hell was abused. She was just abused in a different way. She told you she was neglected, but you didn't seem to listen. Neglect is abuse too. You excluding her because you don't understand that and then dismissing her feelings. Yeah, you the a-hole. Your husband is right. Call her and apologize. And that bit where it said one evening she completely flipped out on us, calling us a-holes and saying that we were like our father and excluded her. Like, yeah, you described during this entire post how you excluded her. She's not wrong. Yeah, like this comment says, but you are like your father and you did exclude her. You did treat her like she was a nobody because she didn't bask in your shared misery. Everybody just ignored her because she wasn't seen as pretty or smart. She was a lost cause not worth bothering with. Any wonder she was acting out? How else would she be seen? You didn't even notice when she went missing for a week. That's wrong. So yeah, you the a-hole. Yeah, I feel so bad for the sister. Yeah, this comment, you the a-hole. So self-centered, you don't even see that she was abused in a different way, and you and your siblings stuck together and she was left out there too. I feel so bad for her. Am I the a-hole for walking out of the bridal salon when I found out that my friends were making fun of me behind my back? I have two friends, Gabby and Shelley. All of us are 23, if that matters. We were roommates in college and stayed in the same city after graduation. While the three of us are close, I've always known that Gabby and Shelley are the closest. They have a really sweet friendship. Shelley is getting married. Gabby is the maid of honor and I'm one of the bridesmaids. Over the weekend, I went with Shelley so she could take a look at wedding dresses. Gabby was supposed to come with us but got called into work last minute. I helped Shelley pick out some dresses and then she went with the consultant to try them on. Shelley asked that I take pictures and videos on her phone to send to her mum and Gabby. I was getting the camera ready when a text from Gabby came up. I didn't mean to click on it and I was instantly going to click back out of it, but I saw one of my Instagram pictures in their private chat from earlier that morning. They were both making fun of me for the face I was making and my outfit choice. It didn't appear to be in very good nature. I admit curiosity got the best of me, so I searched my name in the chat. I found multiple pictures that I, my boyfriend, or my mum have posted of myself, and they were absolutely ripping them to shreds, ranging from selfies to pose shots to even a few baby pictures. They'd also make fun of me in general in terms of the way I talked, the way I wore my hair, and the way I ate. This went back as far as I could tell, at least a year. My heart broke. It all felt so juvenile and so high schooly. While we all joke around, I would never do this to them, nor have they ever even tried to instigate these types of conversations with me about the other one-on-one. I was in tears as somebody who was bullied all through middle school and high school. It just brought me back to such a horrible place. I put the phone in Shelley's purse and I brought it to another employee, telling her to tell Shelley that I had to go. I drove home and I had a long cry. Shelley texted me by the time I made it home asking where I went. I said I was going home and that we could talk later. When she did call a few hours later, she was understandably confused and hurt that I left. I told her what I found, explaining that I only looked further because of the initial text that I accidentally saw. She went off on me for looking through her private text messages and said that they were none of my business. She also told me that I shouldn't have left the store without saying anything. Oh, come on. I said I didn't want to make a scene, but I also knew that I couldn't fake being happy for her. Shelley told me the texts were all in good fun, and clearly she loves me because I'm going to be her bridesmaid. She added that I'm only hurt because I chose to read all of the texts. Later on, Gabby called me to tell me that I invaded Shelley's privacy and hurt her by walking out. My boyfriend and my mum think I did the right thing by walking out, but obviously they're a little biased. I want some unbiased looks. Was I an a-hole to look through the text and then leave? No, of course not, OP. And these aren't your friends. It's not in good fun. Friends don't do that to other people. That's not cool. If I were you, OP, I wouldn't talk to them anymore. They're not worth the trouble and they're definitely not your friends. The top comment says, not the a-hole. If I was in your place, I think I'd drop out of being in the wedding. It's one thing to jokingly make fun of somebody one time, but it seems like they've done this to you a bunch of times, and it doesn't seem like it was lighthearted. If I was you, I wouldn't feel bad about looking through the messages at all. She handed her phone to you, and it feels like fate took the opportunity to expose them to you for who they are. Yeah, and the comment underneath that, I think I'd drop out of their lives altogether. Yeah, definitely. And the way that they were getting upset at OP and trying to blame OP because they're awful. No, of course you're not the a-hole, OP. And you don't need people like this. Like these fake-ass two-faced friends. They're not friends. And this comment too, not the a-hole. Searching her phone was maybe crossing the line, but that line is far less important than two supposed friends spending months making fun of you behind your back. The all in good fun excuse doesn't hold water because you were not a party to it. You don't hide things like that from people unless you're aware of the fallout that would happen if you didn't. I can guarantee you that the vast majority of the people who will comment on this thread would never make fun of their friends to other people behind their back. This is mean girl behavior. It's passive aggressive, it's it's mean-spirited, and it's not how real friends treat their friends. They were making fun of you because they're mean and not very nice people, and they hid it from you because they're mean and not very nice people. She made excuses and blamed you for the situation because she's mean and not a very nice person. You should drop them like a hot potato because they're mean and not very nice people. My only caveat here is if you engage in similar behavior with either of them, having private chats and making fun of other friends. If you do, then everybody sucks. Edit, OP confirms that they do not engage in that behavior, so my initial not the a-hole stands. Yeah, you're for sure not the a-hole, OP. The next one is called Am I the a-hole for telling my terminally ill mother to move out? My mother and I have a rocky relationship and I stopped caring about it a few years ago. We reconnected for a lack of a better word last year. Earlier this year she got diagnosed with terminal cancer. We looked into hospice and palliative care, but the good and decent ones had no beds. She was renting a house, but her stupid ass let my mentally unstable sister move in, and she basically kicked our mum out of her own house. There's another sibling, but she lives in another state and she's pregnant, and another sister who's living in a small apartment with her kids as her house is being remodeled. So it fell onto me to let my mum move in back in March. I was under the assumption that my mum was flat broke. My out-of-state sister was the one handling her finances. I ended up picking up the tab on several things like co-pays, her cell phone bill, the groceries, and I also pay my maid extra money to basically babysit her. I have started to dig into my savings, which I have never done, to cover the cost. All of my siblings are crying poverty. I told her that I needed to start putting her paperwork together, and she became evasive and hostile. I thought she was scared about facing her mortality. I found some legal stuff including her will, which was signed before she moved in with me. This biatch has 750 grand and asked that it be divided between my 3 siblings, and I get nothing. The daughter who rang up 3 grand on a dying mum's credit card on weed, Uber Eats and tattoos gets 250 grand, but the daughter who helps her off the toilet and spent 1,300 on a bed gets nothing. And this isn't a misunderstanding. The only time my name was even mentioned in the will was to confirm that I was being left out. I confronted her about it and she said she didn't think I needed money and I'm the only kid without kids. I said, so you were going to use me to take care of you and then basically tell me to F off when you die. She did say that she would change it and that I was right and she was wrong. I said, don't bother. You have to move out. She told me she has a couple of months to live. She can't move back into her rental that she's paying 2 grand a month for because she's scared of my sister and she wouldn't survive a road trip to my other sister who's due any day, and there's no room at my other sister's place. My house is clean and quiet and it's by the beach. I sent an email to my sibling telling them that she has a week to leave, and if you don't take her, I'll arrange for the police to do it. They know that I'll do it too. They'll probably take her to some county hospital. Of course, my siblings are mad at me. I'm not looking for advice. I spoke to several professionals from lawyers to CPAs. I do not owe my mother anything. If the roles were reversed, she'd lose no sleep over me sleeping on the street with cancer. Oh, what a sad situation. No, I don't feel like you're the a-hole though, OP. The top comment says not the a-hole. Cancer or no cancer, she sounds like a horrible manipulative woman, allowing you to eat into your savings and risk your financial stability to take care of her, and she's not only left you out of her will, but actively made sure that you definitely aren't in it. She says that you won't move back to her house because she's scared of your sister, but she's still leaving her $250,000 and you get nothing. She's not really admitting that she's wrong, she's just being called out. Post number 3 is called Am I the a-hole for not forcing my child to eat blueberries? Today my wife gave our 11-year-old son some blueberries. My son said that he'd rather not eat them because he doesn't really like blueberries. My wife replied, but these are really good. So my son hesitantly tried one blueberry and replied, thanks, but I still don't like them and I'd rather not eat the rest. I thought that was the end of it and I went to the store to get groceries for dinner. When I came back, my son was crying at the table because he was forced to eat the remaining 3 blueberries. I asked my wife, why is he crying? And she explained that he had to eat the blueberries because it's healthy. Thinking it was just about eating a piece of fruit, I told my son that he didn't have to eat the blueberries, but he did have to eat another piece of fruit instead, like an apple or 3 strawberries or something similar. My son immediately agreed, spat out the blueberries in the garbage can, and started eating an apple. This much to my wife's dismay. She said that I overruled her authority and that my son will never learn to eat healthy. My reply was that it's not okay to force a child or any other person to eat something they don't like, especially after they did taste it. How would she feel if I forced her to eat something she doesn't like? Why is it okay for her to not eat certain foods but not for our son? He likes enough vegetables and fruit to get a balanced diet, so I think we should meet him halfway and not focus on forcing him to eat stuff that he doesn't like. And he's not really a fussy eater, so we have plenty of healthy stuff to choose. The situation escalated, and at one point my son even said, I'll just eat the blueberries, in an attempt to de-escalate our argument, after which he took 3 blueberries out of the fridge and swallowed them almost whole, just to get it over with. Sadly for him, it didn't really work because we were already too far into the argument, although I did thank him afterwards for trying, and I apologize for not being able to let it slide. Am I the a-hole because I didn't force my son to eat the blueberries and I allowed him to take another piece of fruit that he does like? Edit, I wasn't expecting such a big response and I haven't been able to read all the comments. Thank you to everybody who did respond. I really appreciate the advice. Maybe I'm not the a-hole in this situation, but in the future I will try not to argue with my wife in front of our son. Yeah, 100% OP. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole a-hole because of the fruit, but yeah, in the future, definitely don't argue in front of your son. But yeah, what you were saying is definitely right, OP. Your son is trying different foods. There's no point forcing him to eat blueberries if he already doesn't like blueberries, and he has tried them before. The top comment says, congrats to your wife for working so hard to mess up your child's relationship with food, and also starting an argument right in front of him so he'd feel wretched and guilty over something that wasn't even his fault. For God's sake, he even tried the blueberries. He's allowed to not like stuff, as any human being is. Not the a-hole. Keep an eye on how she treats him going forward, especially when it comes to food. This incident is likely to have him doing things he doesn't want to do to reduce friction at home, and the next time she starts up with you in front of him, take it elsewhere. He doesn't need to see or hear that stuff. Yeah, definitely. And the comment under that one says, the father's attitude on that is perfect. The kid eats a balanced diet of plenty of other fruit and veggies. He was willing to try it and he was polite. It's ridiculous to force him to eat foods that he doesn't like. Not the a-hole. Post number 4 is called, am I the a-hole for being upset because my wealthy best friend wouldn't let me borrow $5? My best friend and I have been friends for nearly 7 years. When we first met, she was struggling financially and lived paycheck to paycheck. At one point, her car broke down and she had no transportation to work, so I would let her borrow my car and I never asked for gas money or anything in return. At the time, I was financially secure and I was happy to help her out. As the years went by, my financial situation changed, and like her, I began living paycheck to paycheck. By this time, she had started dating a guy that she met online who revealed to her a few months into dating that he was a millionaire. They married shortly after, and suffice to say that she has not had to struggle since. There've been a few times I've asked to borrow money, which I've always paid back, and it's not much, less than $25 or so each time, and she would always oblige with no issues. Until recently, the last couple of times I asked to borrow money, she said that she didn't have it, which I found odd. But then I asked to borrow $5 and she said the same thing, and I thought it was odd that she told me that she didn't have $5 to spare. I know that ever since she got married, her brothers and a couple of other friends have been trying to take advantage of her newfound wealth by asking to borrow money that they never paid back and having her bail them out of situations that they put themselves in, and that has cost her a lot of money. I started to think that maybe I'd forgotten to pay her back money that I owed her at some point, so I did reach out to her to ask if that was the case. When she told me that wasn't the case, as in I had always paid her back, I told her I felt hurt because it felt like if I needed her help with something, I used the example if I ended up in jail, that I couldn't reach out to her for help because she couldn't even let me borrow $5. She replied and said that just like her brothers, I need to learn how to budget my money better, and that she can't be the one to bail everybody out. She said when she was struggling, she had to work multiple jobs and did what she had to. I replied and said that it wasn't fair for her to lump me in with her brothers, as I've never done anything to take advantage of her, and I never would have said something like that to her when I let her borrow my car, and anytime she would ask me to borrow money when she was struggling. I told her I loved her but that I was ending the conversation, and she replied that this is why money and friends should never be mixed. Since then, she reached out and said, I didn't deserve that conversation last night. I hope you know that, to which I have not replied to and I have no plans to. I'm deeply hurt that she feels that I was in the wrong, but I don't think I was the a-hole here. I understand that I'm not entitled to anybody's money, borrowed or not, but when she was in my shoes, I did everything I could to help her out. I can understand if I had asked to borrow a large amount of money, but I was asking for $5. Yeah, 100% this comment. I'm deeply curious as to the friend's side of the story. I feel like there's definitely missing information here. Like obviously you've borrowed money from her a lot, OP, but also it does sound like she's borrowed a lot of money from you too. Yeah, I don't really know. I'd be interested to see what the other person has to say. The top comment says not the a-hole. Did I read the same post as everybody else here, or did your friend make a bunch of accounts ragging you over $5? So she had to struggle and work 3 different jobs but was still asking you for money, but the $5 was the last straw and spawned a finance course? I'd leave her be. She's posh now and she's not of your world anymore. People need you when they don't have it, but when you don't have it, all of a sudden you're unreasonable and a question. Perfect example, look at the other comments. Yeah, but also comments like this one do make a good point. You the a-hole, you said that you've asked her many times to borrow money, and while that's great that you paid her back, friends are not a bank to lend you money. Maybe it happens once or twice, but after that, come on. It's not her job to lend money to friends. That's abusing her friendship, and she's married, so her money is now their money. It is understandable that her husband may not agree with lending money, especially given the fact that her family abused her kindness. She is right that you should never mix money and friendship, especially when you are asking several times. My daughter had a friend who kept asking to borrow money, and she felt used. I'm sure your friend feels the same. Yeah, like that's definitely a good point. But also, like OP said, the other person would borrow money from them too. It's not like it was completely one-sided or something. And yeah, I also don't like that attitude, like that comment said, where you like treat your friend as if they're an ATM or something. Did the friend tell OP like, hey, I'm not really comfortable lending you money anymore? It doesn't really sound like it, does it? And they definitely should have. But yeah, also like OP said, OP let them borrow their car, and it definitely has gone both ways. But yeah, it's definitely not nice when the only time you see somebody is when they're asking you for money. Yeah, I don't know, there's almost not enough information here. I can see how you're not the a-hole, and I can also see how you kind of are. Guys, let me know down below what you think. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for refusing to give the veil I made for my daughter daughters, to my future daughter-in-law, and also not making her own veil. When I was younger, I made my 2 daughters veils for their weddings. I did some embroidery on them and they were very beautiful. My younger daughter is already married and used it for her wedding. My other daughter is gay and will probably wear a tux for her future wedding. I am still holding onto it in case she wants to use the veil or make something else with it, maybe like a pocket square. So one veil is still in my home, and the story came up at dinner about how I made them for my kids. My future daughter-in-law has been talking about it since. She asked to use the one that I'd saved for my daughter. I told her no, and she told me that my daughter won't be using it anyway, so what's the harm? Still a hard no from me. She asked me to make her a veil for the wedding in a few months. I told her no to this also. I have arthritis and I can't really do that anymore. I explained why, and this started an argument. She thinks I'm a jerk for not doing this, and I'm not accepting her in the family. My reasons are above. She called me a jerk, and my son is telling me to suck it up and give her one. My daughter, the gay daughter, is happy that I held on to her veil. No, you're for sure not the a-hole, OP. You've got completely valid reasons there. You should say the veil belongs to my daughter, not me. I can't just give you my daughter's veil. And yeah, it's wild that they even feel entitled to it, OP. Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole. The fact is your daughter is glad that you're holding on to her veil, and your arthritis makes it impossible for you to create a whole new one. Your daughter-in-law should respect that. She can be disappointed, but that's her problem. To feel entitled and to call you a jerk makes her an a-hole here, and telling you to suck it up, your son's being a major a-hole. There's no argument for them. The veil belongs to your daughter. You cannot create a new one. If they continue harassing you, ignore or mute or delete as much as needed. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that there'll be no making up for missing my high school graduation? I, 18 male, am graduating high school at the end of this month. My dad dropped the bomb on me 2 nights ago that his stepdaughter, 14 male, has an award ceremony for some competition that she entered and won in another state on the same day, and that she really wants him to be there. He told me he couldn't possibly make it to both, and since his wife and their children together will be going, he needs to be there too. He told me he'd make it up to me and we could celebrate another time. I still live with him, not for much longer. My mum died when I was 7 and my dad got married again when I was 11 or 12. It's been a few years anyway. His stepdaughter never knew her biological dad, so my dad has accepted her as his own, and he has prioritized her a lot in the last 5 or 6 years. It doesn't always show in the most obvious ways, but it can definitely be felt. Father-son time was put on an indefinite hiatus, and instead dad told me we needed to include her in our time together, but he also spent time with just her for father and daughter time. I brought it up to my dad and he told me that I wasn't exactly making an effort to be closer to her, so he wanted us all to bond and didn't want me to just focus on my relationship with him. He's attended her dance things instead of my basketball games if they're on at the same time. It doesn't matter if mine was known about first. He'll still skip my stuff to go to hers. He'll take us on family days, and whenever he and his wife say that kids can choose, he picks her choice over mine. He claims it's because they'll be the most fun for everybody, but really, he even says it afterward. Anything that his little princess wants. Our fridge and our shower broke at the same time. His stepdaughter's birthday was coming up, so he took money from my birthday fund to pay for that stuff, and so his stepdaughter would definitely get what she wanted, this Barbie house thing and a whole fashion set, and they were, I think dad said, $250. He didn't get all the money back by the time my birthday came around, so instead he bought me a $30 gift card for Steam when he'd promised me a new monitor and keyboard for my computer. That was a gift from my grandparents. When my dad told me that he wouldn't be at my graduation to go and support her, I told him that there's no making up for that and he can forget about being included in my life going forward. He told me that he'd make it up to me, and I told him I'll always come second to his little princess, and I'm not going to be okay with that. I told him he's discarded me for the last time. Dad begged me to be reasonable, but I walked away. Then I invited both sets of grandparents who agreed to come. His wife told me that I could have come with them and I don't need to attend the ceremony, but I could support my sister. I said her daughter isn't my sister and I do not want to support their family anymore, and I'm going to be out of their hair soon. She called me selfish and told me that I can't deny her daughter a dad. Am I the a-hole? But what, you can be denied a dad? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. That's so sad. Yeah, the stepdaughter never knew her biological dad, but you lost your mum when you were 7, OP, and now your dad is choosing your stepdaughter over you because what, the stepdaughter is the priority? There's no balance here. Yeah, like this comment says, I hope you pointed out to your father that while trying to make up for his stepdaughter having a loser father, that he has indeed become a loser to his own child. How ironic, not the a-hole. And OP responded, yeah, I also mentioned how she has 2 parents now, and I have 0 because I already lost my mum and now I lost him as well. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, of course you're not the a-hole, OP. And there's been multiple different times that your dad has put your stepdaughter ahead of you. It's not like a one-time thing or something. And also this comment, wow, what a horrible way to keep showing you that you don't matter to them. Totally not the a-hole, and congrats on the freedom that awaits you. I'm impressed by your clarity of thinking. It took me much longer to get to that level of understanding. If not done already, get your plan started or refined further. The shame that they're hiding may cause some additional grief and manipulation. You've got this though, good luck. Life is very sweet without constant disappointment. Post number 2 is called Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share a personal sized pizza with 3 other people? This is my first time posting anything and I'm on mobile, so I'm unsure if I'm doing it right. I, female 33, am gluten free, cis celiac, and I have been for over half of my life. My husband, male 35, is not. We had 2 friends stopping by for dinner who are also not gluten-free. My husband suggested that we get pizza and mentioned to me that one of the friends only eats chicken as far as meat goes, so I should factor that into my order. I said, well, that doesn't really affect me since I wasn't planning on sharing, but noted. I'll see what options they have for her. My husband freaks out at me because apparently I'm being ungrateful. He asked me why I didn't want to share, and I said, the gluten-free pizzas are basically personal pizzas, and I regularly eat the whole thing when we order it. I'm supposed to offer half of mine to other people when I can't eat what they're eating. He wouldn't even hear me at all and said that if I didn't want to share, I could pay for my own pizza myself. I don't really care about paying for it myself, but the idea that I'm supposed to give away some of my dinner when I can't even eat what other people are eating is stupid to me. It's not like we're ordering every pizza gluten-free. It just doesn't make any sense. They eat my food, I can't eat their food. I can understand the principle of offering, but one gluten-free pizza from this place is only enough for one person. If we were getting multiple gluten-free ones, I'd absolutely share, but they got 2 larges for the 3 of them. He continued to go on about how ungrateful I was being and said some other stupid stuff before I told him to F off and I went upstairs. I ended up just going upstairs and not eating or seeing them at all. I came downstairs later and he'd ordered me a gluten-free pizza and said from across the room, are you ready for your gluten-free pizza? You need to have a better attitude about things that aren't yours in the future. I didn't reply or eat the pizza. I was already heating something else up and I hadn't even noticed the pizza, but I will eat it later because I'm pregnant and I'm starving all the time. For the record, this has happened before several years ago while we ordered pizza, and only one gluten-free for me, and it arrived and everybody thought that mine looked super good. I don't order regular pepperoni and tomato sauce, so the 4 other people, husband included, took over half of my pizza before I even got a bite of it. It pissed me off because I didn't even have enough food and they still had plenty, plus pieces of mine, so perhaps it is a sore subject for me. Again, I'm also pregnant, though this would still bother me if I weren't. Am I the a-hole and being ungrateful? No, and I don't really understand what you're meant to be grateful for. And like this comment says, all of this over a pizza? I can't imagine how he handles real problems. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, like this shouldn't even be an issue. But no, your husband is definitely in the wrong, OP. It's so stupid in the first place. Like if he and them are so dead set on sharing pizza, and you can only eat the gluten-free pizza, but you're also expected to share some of your pizza, that means you need to have enough gluten-free pizza to share and also eat yourself, because you can't be eating anything else, as in like they get 2 gluten-free pizzas or whatever. But that's so bloody simple and that didn't need to be an argument. It sounds like your husband loves to be in control, OP, and because he wasn't getting what he wanted, he gets upset about it. The top comment says, not the a-hole, your husband is a big one though. Also thoughtless. Literally, are you ever heard? And OP said, am I ever heard? I don't know, to be honest. I'm generally super go with the flow, and he's very much the one who cares about stuff, so he 99% of the time gets what he wants. I started about a year ago voicing my own opinions more, and he told me that I was being combative. Lol. I told him that he's only used to getting his way, and that it was my fault for not setting proper boundaries for so long. We do have a good relationship most of the time though, I promise. Oh, that sounds so exhausting though. Like if this is what's gonna happen over a bloody pizza, what about when you have your child and stuff and there are actual issues? And that's so frustrating too, like the sort of people that are like, oh, I need to tell you that you're being ungrateful. Like absolutely no understanding, no care really, and has the audacity to say that you're being combative because you have opinions and they sometimes go against exactly what he wants. Oh, that's so annoying. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for evicting my brother and his family from the house that I've inherited so that my daughter can live there? I, 40 female, have a daughter, Caroline, 17 female. My brother Adam, 34 male, is married and has 2 kids under the age of 5. Back when I was in my 20s, our great-grandmother ended up with an illness which required somebody to take care of her. This ended up being me, as everybody else were busy with their lives and I'd only recently graduated from uni back then. Due to this, when she passed away, I've inherited the house that she lived in. It's a small 2-bedroom. I have lived there until I got married and me and my husband ended up moving to a bigger property. About a year after, my brother asked if I'm willing to rent it out to him, which I agreed to do, but I've warned him that I'll need it back when Caroline turns 18. She was 3 at the time. Because it is super close to universities and the city centre, a legal agreement was drafted for the rent, significantly below market value, so everything was followed by the book. About a year ago, I've informed my brother about needing the house back as my daughter is going to be 18, and I would like to have some repairs done before she moved in. My brother ignored me, so I've issued him a notice to vacate, which was also ignored. As he continued to ignore me, I had no choice but to apply for a court order to evict him, with the hearing taking place last month. Last week, him and his family were officially evicted, and upon getting into the house, I've noticed it was in horrible condition, and it would take a few months just to make it somewhat habitable, let alone redecorating or repairs. I have raised this with my brother since he was meant to look after the house, and let me know of any repairs, but this talk ended up in an argument where I was called an a-hole for evicting him and his family so my spoilt daughter can live by herself and not giving them enough notice. They had just over a year to find something suitable. He also said that I've inherited the house by cheating. My parents are on his side since Adam and his family live with them. Oh my god, no, you're not the a-hole. a-hole, OP. It even said that the rent you were charging them was well below what it should have been, or like what it could have been, and they lived there for what, like around 15 years, and the entire time they knew that you wanted the house back when your daughter turned 18, and they had all of that time to figure that out. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. Yeah, like this comment says, so Adam has known that he had to move since your daughter was 3, and now she's 17, so that's a math issue. And math tells us that Adam has known for 14 years that he'd have to move out of your house. In what Looney Tunes world is that not enough notice? Curious, was Adam just lazy and let the house fall into disrepair? Or did he trash it intentionally because you evicted him? Yeah, that's a good point. Was it always so bad? Or was he just upset that he was getting evicted, so he ruined the place? Either way, you're not the a-hole, OP. You had a 14-year agreement. They're acting like it's a surprise. And also the audacity to leave the place in such a mess. You let them rent there for under market value for 14 years? Like, where's the gratitude? He lived there for roughly 14 or 15 years paying substantially below market rent prices, which could have allowed him to save up a pretty considerable sum to put towards a home of his own, and he clearly chose not to, as he had to move in with your parents. His life choices are not your problem. Regarding the state of the home, did you not visit him over the years and notice the deterioration? Or is there revenge damage caused shortly before they moved? And OP said, a bit of both really, and also cleverly placed furniture so it wasn't even noticeable up until now. Oh yeah, you're for sure not the a-hole, OP. Like what, bro? 15 years of notice wasn't enough? Come on. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for laughing at my wife's comment? This morning I walked into my room to find my wife sitting on her bed looking stressed. I was on my way to do my hour commute to work. She's a stay-at-home mum. Seeing her distress, I walked over, rubbed her back and asked her what was wrong. She said that she was trying to relax before her very full day. I asked her what she was doing today. She said, I don't know. This made me laugh. This comment genuinely struck my funny bone. I was immutably chastised for laughing and accused of not being caring. Am I the a-hole for having a genuine reaction to something that my wife said that I thought was funny? Yeah, like this comment says, comedically it's definitely funny, but clearly your wife does feel overwhelmed by her day, whether she knows what's in store for her or not. It seems like something you should definitely talk about, because I don't see the part of the story when you have a discussion about why getting out of bed feels stressful for her. Not the a-hole for laughing, but your job here isn't done. Yeah, definitely, you weren't laughing at her. It was a little funny thing that caught you off guard. But yeah, like that comment says, as long as you did actually have a discussion after that, and you were caring and you were understanding, yeah, I like this comment. Usurpation of expectations is a root of comedy. This would probably make me chuckle too, but I'd also probably shut myself up and talk to her about what I could do to make her feel less overwhelmed. You're not laughing at her emotional state. That would be a-hole-ish. I'm going with not the a-hole, but you need to have an open and deep conversation on how you can help support her more. Too little information here to make any assumptions other than she clearly is overwhelmed. Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. And also, it definitely could be a little bit you the a-hole. Like, I don't know why they said that their drive to work was an hour, and I don't know why they mentioned that their wife was a stay-at-home mum. And also, if you were caring and you were understanding after something like this, why would you need to go to Reddit? Like, it would have been fine. Like, as long as you are being supportive, OP. Because yeah, your wife does sound really overwhelmed and definitely needs your support. It is super hard to judge some of these. There's not a lot of information here. There is a comment here that said, what is really going on here? That your wife is so stressed out that she can't even answer the simple question of what's going to happen in the day. Think about that for a moment. If you were stressed and overwhelmed to the point where you couldn't even answer a simple question about what it is you're overwhelmed about, how would you feel if somebody laughed at you? You can try and explain that you weren't laughing at her, but rather the existential and logical phrasing of words. But she did share with you her struggle and you laughed. You the a-hole? Yeah, I can definitely see that point of view too. But also, I feel like if OP was caring and had a conversation about this afterwards, showing that they do care about their wife, I don't feel like that little laugh would mean that they're an a-hole. They'd be an a-hole if they didn't show that they cared at all. Yeah, like this other comment says, at face value, it is definitely funny, but I'm going to give you a soft you the a-hole, simply because you mention your commute time in the same sentence as informing us that she's a stay-at-home mum, which seems a little bit like saying, while I work, she just stays at home, and since she is a stay-at-home mum, she likely doesn't know what her day will hold, but it is likely going to be stressful because kids are stressful. Not saying it was your intention to come across that way, but it doesn't seem like you're really giving her the credit that she deserves, or acknowledging that her days can be stressful. Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, it probably was funny, but your wife is definitely overwhelmed, and it does kind of sound like you're not really giving that the respect that it deserves, like the fact that she is stressed out. I don't think you're the a-hole for laughing at the comment, but there's definitely a lot more to this. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for refusing to make my niece a doll like my sisters? I, 26 female, have no kids, but my oldest brother has 2 daughters. Oldest is now 7, younger one just turned 5. I love both of them a lot, but I'm not blind. As somebody who did grow up with siblings, it is very clear that the oldest daughter, ON, is the golden child. She gets whatever she wants, no matter how expensive, and is always showered with praise for her pageants and singing. My younger niece, YN, is very shy, but but she's still very sweet and enjoys stuff like reading and animals. Recently, my younger niece has been feeling bad about herself. I asked why, and she told me it was because she didn't like her hair color. She has auburn curls. She was sad because everybody always said how pretty older niece's hair was, which was a very light blonde and straight. It got so bad that she'd apparently tried to cut it off, which her mum had just laughed off as a childhood mishap. When I was over at my brother's house, I noticed that the two were playing with dolls. Older niece had a very nice Barbie doll, while younger niece had what looked like a short, cheap Walmart knockoff. I asked them why, and mum said it was because she couldn't find a doll with red hair. This made me upset because number one, the doll's hair is bright red, which is not her hair color, and two, it was extremely different quality. I said nothing, but when it was younger niece's birthday, I acted. For months, I researched doll making and restoring. I took a Barbie and I replaced her hair with some that matched hers, and I painted the eyes. I then hand sewed several custom outfits and gave each a blue whale theme, her favorite animal. As a cosplayer, this wasn't that hard. On her birthday, younger niece was ecstatic, but her sister was obviously not. I didn't pay attention to her, instead focusing on making sure younger niece liked her gifts. But only a few days after, her parents called me, telling me that I needed to make older niece a doll as well. I said that I'd get her one on her next birthday. They said no, she needed it immediately because she'd been upset that her sister's doll was customized unlike her store-bought ones and was mad that younger niece wouldn't share. I told them again that it was a project and I'd make her one next year. They both accused me of not caring about older niece's feelings. I got mad saying that neither of them cared about being fair when younger niece was playing with a troll doll that was supposed to look like her. This was a gift meant to make younger niece feel special, and I wasn't going to cheapen it because older niece was pouting. I hung up, but I started to wonder, am I the yay hole? No, definitely not, OP. You did something super nice and now you're getting in trouble for it because you're not going to immediately make one for the older niece, and it's not the older niece's birthday. Yeah, like the top comment said, not the yay hole. More kids should have aunts like you. It warmed my heart as a now adult who often was overlooked in childhood when it came to my perfect blonde cousin to see you notice this and act. You made younger niece feel special and she deserves to feel it. It's not like you'll never do anything like that for older niece, but time and place. Older niece needs to learn that life does not turn on her axis just when she wants something. Older niece could use a lesson in not being the center of attention. Anyway, you're a beautiful person. Yeah, definitely, and you're doing the right thing by not enabling the parents, OP. Am I the gay hole for ignoring our daughter's inconvenient boundary? My wife, 39 female, and I, 36 female, have a daughter. Technically my stepdaughter, but I've raised her since she was 5. 19 female, from a previous relationship of my wife's. Her father is not in the picture. Who's come back home after her first year at uni. She picked up a new and problematic issue since she was last home for an extended period of time. Surrounding laundry. Basically, she established a boundary where nobody is to touch her clothes. Her reasoning is that she's concerned something will go missing or get damaged, thinks it's gross for us to go through her stuff, and is an adult who deserves privacy. That's all fine. We have 3 young children in our home, 9 female, and 2 male, so there's plenty of washing to keep us entertained. The issue though is that she has a habit of monopolizing washing facilities to the extent where we're effectively prevented from being able to get any other laundry done. For example, last weekend she put a wash in before work and hung it out on the line around 11 a.m. She then left for work 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Her wash was dry within an hour, and obviously she wasn't going to be back all day. We had a few days worth of washing to get through, so my wife, her mum, took everything off the line and folded it. We got through 5 other loads that day. She was not happy when she got home and said that she'd been very clear that we weren't to touch her things. When we explained the situation above, she said that it was first come, first served. That's not something we've ever said, and that since the next day was due to be nice also, we should have just waited to get through it the next day. That really pissed us off. Yeah, I bet it did, OP. That would have pissed me off too. We've offered her a weekly laundry day where we'll avoid using the machine so she can have freedom to do as she pleases on that day, but she said that once a week won't cut it. Fair enough, but there are 5 other people in the house that need clean clothes and bedding and towels. Other than that, all we can really suggest is that she keeps on top of her washing. If she's at home, we'll ask her to clean her clothes from the machine and dryer and washing line as needed. But like any 19-year-old, she has a social life and work commitments and is often busy. She's upset because she says that we're not respecting her boundaries, whereas we've pointed out while don't move my clothes is objectively reasonable, it's not fair for her to do so at the inconvenience of everybody else in our home. Essentially, the last conversation that we had ended up with her in tears because we said as long as situations like Saturday keep on occurring, we will continue to move her stuff. Just FYI, we do fold her clothes carefully and we leave them in a basket in a communal living room so they're kept together, in good condition, and we're not going in and out of her room. We normally have a good relationship with her, so this is a bit unusual. We've asked her if everything else is okay and she says yeah, and seems otherwise normal and off herself, and she is normally reasonable, so are we being unreasonable? Edit, so the consensus is pretty much that we're right and our daughter is being massively unreasonable and that we're being pushovers for not being tougher on her from the start. We have shown her the comments, and unfortunately she's still insisting that we're the unreasonable ones. Oh, come on. We'd never considered the local laundromat and have banned her from using our washing machine for the next fortnight given that she's still unwilling to adjust. She's absolutely furious, and my wife has ordered a lock for the washroom door to enforce the 2-week rule. Hopefully a couple of weeks of hauling her stuff to and from will help her see the light. Thank you very much, all. Edit 2, a slightly calmer update this morning. Our daughter came to talk to us and apologized for the situation. She said that she had found the transition back home hard. I get that, and had maybe become a bit territorial over her stuff while at uni. All okay. She then asked if she could please have a laundry day and be allowed to use the machine. Her place of work is shut Monday, so that's now her day. And we have said that she can use the machine on other days, but if by 7 a.m. Tuesday there's anything in the way, or any issues on any other days, we'll be moving her stuff. A genuine sorry goes a long way with us, and while the advice has been to hold firm, we don't really want an issue if the situation can be resolved calmly. We've also made it clear that if her things do have to be moved on any day, other than Monday, which is totally hers, and we get any grief about it, we'll go back to a 2-week ban and there's no going back. Maybe a less satisfying update than the last one, but we are happy that we can resolve the problem calmly. She did mention she'd read through some of these comments last night, so thank you to everybody that weighed in. Oh, that's good. So like a pretty happy ending to this one. I love it when that happens. I'm so glad that she realized that she was being unreasonable, because she definitely was. Even though we don't really need to, I will read the top comment. Not the a-hole. This is insane. You can respect her boundaries, but she needs to work within your rules and schedule, etc. She can't just dictate something and then make it impossible to go about your own business. That's ludicrous. The good thing is you have the upper hand here. If she doesn't want her stuff touched, then she better get it off the line before you need to use it. Number 1, ask her for input on timing, but being clear that there are 6 people living in the house and she gets the equivalent of 1/6 of the available time to do her wash. Number 2, if she fights it, assign her a time. Number 3, respect that time and don't do any of your wash during her scheduled time, so she can't come back at you that your stuff was in the wash. Number 4, go about your business. If her stuff is in the wash or on the line and she's not around to move it, you move it. Done. Period. This teenager making rules BS has to stop. You're the parents and it's your house. Yeah, definitely. I'm so happy that was resolved. Post number 2 is called Am I the Gay Hole for not getting my daughter anything for her birthday? My daughter turned 13 yesterday. I made sure to ask her what she wants for her birthday a few months in advance. She gave me a list. Great. I explained she won't be getting everything from the list as it was big and some of the things were expensive. She understood. About a week after we had that conversation, she tells me that she wants tickets to a show for her birthday. Going to the show would also mean traveling a little bit out of the city. Neither are cheap. So I told her that would be the only gift that she would get, and it would also replace a party. She said that's what she wants, and I triple checked before I booked the tickets. A couple of weeks ago, would you believe she tells me that she changed her mind again? Now she wants some clothes instead of the show. I told her I already booked everything, so there's absolutely no way. She got into a strop about it and said that she isn't going. I told her fine, I'll take somebody else, fully expecting her to later apologize and say that she's coming, but the apology never came. In fact, her attitude got worse and she got into trouble at school. She asked me if I got her the clothes and I told her no, I'm sticking to my word. I don't think she believed me. Well, her birthday came and she realized that I wasn't bluffing. I didn't get her any gifts. She was appalled and I was the worst mother ever. I told her she's learned her valuable lesson. I really did want to make her birthday special, but she was being awful. Of course, other relatives got her things, but none from me. She told her grandparents her side of the story, which was of course all one-sided, making her out as a victim. They called me and I explained to them the whole truth. They also think I'm awful and the poor girl needs gifts from her mum. I told them next year will be different if she behaves. Am I the gay hole? There's a comment here that says everybody sucks. She's acting bratty, but you're being a little harsh. What happened with the tickets? Were they returnable or resellable? And OP said, yes, I sold them. That's interesting. So you sold the tickets, but you still didn't get any other gifts? I think that makes it a little bit different. Yeah, like this comment says, I'm betting she didn't do anything to celebrate her daughter's birthday. From her wording, it seemed pretty apparent that she wanted to teach her a lesson, which to be fair, there definitely should have been a lesson, but not one that leaves her birthday devoid of any type of acknowledgement or celebration. She said next year things will be different if she behaves. Maybe I'm projecting here, as I had a mother who liked to teach unnecessary lessons that ultimately just left me feeling unloved and unworthy, but I really hope she at least got some cake and a verbal happy birthday. Yeah, 100%. There has to be some sort of acknowledgement of the birthday. That's a bit misleading though, isn't it? Because when you read that post, it makes it sound like they got tickets and then the daughter changed her mind and wanted clothes instead. But OP didn't buy the clothes, but they also still had the tickets. But they didn't still have the tickets. They sold the tickets and there was no presents at all. Yeah, no, I feel like there should have been something. Yeah, like this comment said, did you still get her a card and a cake? I mean, you made a bargain and she learned her lesson about the present, but other celebrations not as dependent on money don't get cancelled, do they? I'm trying to figure out if on her actual birthday you A, took away the already spent gift money, or B, took away love. Yeah, no, there should have been some sort of acknowledgement and something. Wow, that's so interesting because that changes everything that they sold the tickets. I was so ready to be like, oh no, you're completely not the a-hole. Like you went and you bought these these tickets, and your daughter changed her mind and she wanted something else, and you were like, no, I'm not changing my mind on these tickets, you're gonna have these tickets, assuming that the daughter was actually still gonna get those tickets to the show. But no, they sold the tickets, so there was no show, there was no nothing. Yeah, no, that's not good. Like, yeah, the daughter does need to learn that her actions do have consequences, but I think OP definitely took it too far. The next one is called, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's friends that I make more money than her? I, 25 male, am married to my wife Sasha, 28 female. She does come from a pretty wealthy background while I decidedly do not. My dad left before I was born and my mum died when I was 11. I have mainly gotten over it as much as one can get over something like that. However, I'm still sensitive on any so-called jokes on that. I graduated summa cum laude and went straight into investment banking. I met my wife when I was 23 and fresh into it, but after 3 years I do earn pretty well. My wife is a lawyer. Now, I love my wife and she loves me, obviously, but her family hates me, like from the depths of their souls hates me. I've been called a gold digger, a lowlife, and a few more vague insults on my table manners. I went to a quote-unquote party with her the other day, one of those fancy schmancy things that everybody drinks champagne and complains about this and that and the other, talking about, oh, we spent so much money on renovations, gasping, and I got the usual mild comments from my wife's family and close friends on where my wife picked me up from. Lacey, I don't think knew about my family history before. We were talking about dads, don't ask me why, and I got a question on what my dad did, and I said I didn't know, I never met the guy. Lacey made this kind of exaggerated gasp and went, oh, well, we all know why you're with her, my wife, then don't we? I acted all confused and she got flustered and just kept on going with, well, you know. My wife did try to move the conversation along, but by this point I wasn't letting it go. I kept pushing and pushing until Lacey finally said, well, you two don't exactly have the same finances, do you? And then responded with, you're right, I make quite some more. Lacey by this point was too embarrassed to keep going. I'd kind of ruined the vibe, but the night continued. This isn't the kind of event you walk away from. We went home and that's when crap genuinely went down. She told me that it was crazy of me to keep pushing on that point and to turn one comment into one of the most embarrassing moments of her life, and now everybody in her circle must think that she's some kind of failure to earn so much less than her husband and that I'd ruined everything. But it's not like I lied. I'm just tired of being treated like crap in her circle. My wife is upset though, and I do care about her, so I need to know, am I the a-hole? Wait, so when you went home, your wife was upset at you? Oh no, OP, you're not in the wrong. Lacey is embarrassing for even saying a comment like that. Like, how lame do you have to be to even make a comment like that? Like, oh, well, I can see why you're with them. Like, what an awful thing to say to somebody. Like, completely dismissing all of the love that they have for each other and being like, oh, you're only with her because she makes so much money. Get the hell out of here with that crap. How embarrassing. What a cringe and awful thing to say to somebody. The top comment says, now everybody in her circle must think she's some kind of a failure to earn so much less than her husband, but she was perfectly fine letting everybody in her life think that you were a failure that lives off her. She's also apparently perfectly fine letting them mock or insult you, the man that she allegedly loves. Why is her image more important than your dignity and the respect for your marriage? A person can earn less than their wealthy partner and still be with them out of love, and she's allowing that to be questioned. Not the a-hole. Both her and her circle sound vain, materialistic, and classist, and I'm afraid those traits are going to be hard to change. Also, how embarrassing. Like, the money one is so common. People think like, oh, you know, I'm rich, I make so much money, so therefore I get to judge people and like put them down and put yourself higher than everybody else. But the funny and also sad part about it is like there are so many people in the world that would make so much more money than like the people in this post, and I bet they don't walk around putting people down and acting like they're better than everybody. It's the most cringe behavior ever. And no, you're not the a-hole, OP. People like Lacey are embarrassing. Yeah, like this comment said, I grew up in a wealthy area and the wealthiest guy of all used to drive a beater station wagon and wore flannel shirts everywhere. At my parents' parties, men would come up to him and brag about how wealthy they were, and then patronizingly ask what he did. He would say, I work in a factory, which was true, except he worked in a lot of factories that he owned, and he was pretty hands-on. Other people who knew were laughing at the people who bragged, who never got the joke. I've told that story a couple of times at appropriate moments, or sometimes I say, I was taught it's rude to brag or ask about money. It usually doesn't work. Those people have their facts wrong, and you corrected the fact. They're a-holes who are embarrassed that they stepped on a rake. You are not the a-hole. Why has your wife been putting up with this? She should have long ago told her family the situation and shut down their crap fast. Is she as insecure as her brother? Yeah, insecure, that's what it is. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your wife and her friends are definitely the a-hole. And yeah, how insecure do they have to be to stand around and brag to each other so they can make themselves feel better? And like this comment says, honestly, you're not the a-hole, but your wife is. If this is her circle, she should have stopped that Lacey immediately. People think that you're a gold digger because your wife lets them think about it. She's more worried about what people would think about her earnings than people talking bad about you. Yeah, your wife and her friends are showing all sorts of red flags, OP. OP. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for sending a price sheet to my family after not being invited to my half-sister's wedding? Let's get straight to the point. I, 22 female, am a full-time baker for a small business and a college student. I moved back to my home state in September of 2023, mainly to get away from my toxic family and for better opportunities. Also, to add why this is even an issue in the first place, my brother, Jay, 25 male, and I are the black sheep of the family, mainly due to the fact that we were born and mainly raised outside of marriage. The teasing and neglect only grew worse after our mother, 44 female, married Jerkfish, 54 male, and had her half-siblings, 20 female, 17 male, 16 male, and 11 male. My half-sister, who we'll call Jojo, 20 female, is getting married to Rit, 22 male, in July. My mum and grandma asked that I make them a wedding cake, which I would have happily agreed to if I was invited to the wedding. The thing is, they wanted me to make a cake fit for 200 people, get a hotel near them. They hate that I'm not a Christian, so they think that I'll bring evil into their house. Oh my god. Work for 3 days and get a flight there and back, and I'd have to pay for all of it. They think it'd be a nice gift to my sister. Oh, what? I just laughed and I sent them a price sheet. They flipped out. I was bombarded with messages from them about how I'm so selfish and I'm truly vile, how I'm toxic for expecting my family to pay for my cake when they could just go to Walmart and get one. Jojo even messaged me on Discord a week after I'd sent the price sheet and asked me why I'd charge her when I made my best friend a free wedding cake. I simply told her to F off, as not only was I invited to her wedding, but I was the maid of honor, and in a way it was returning the favor for being a genuinely good friend and helping me out when I was going through a lot of stuff. Jay and his wife are saying that I'm not wrong for it, and they'd do the same, and my boyfriend is on my side. However, a few people in my life are saying I should have just said a simple no instead of sending the sheet, and that my response to my sister was harsh. No way, OP. So I need an outside perspective. Hopefully other bakers on here too. Am I the a-hole? Update, I found out the exact reason for my brother's family and I not getting invited. 3 months after my sister and her soon-to-be husband got engaged, my grandmother requested that my sister not invite the sinners. It was more along the lines of, if you don't invite your siblings, you'll get a hefty portion of my will. Don't really know what the proper term for that is, but I digress. So my sister is catering to the needs of my racist grandmother over her own sisters. I also found out another reason, out of many, why my brother and I were black sheep in the family. So you see, my mother is whiter than paper. My brother and I's biological father is Lakota Sioux Native American. We were told that he just left us because that's how the savages act, when in reality our dad died from a terminal respiratory illness that he had since he was a toddler. Some cis type of deal, not too sure. The hatred from them only grew further when my brother married a black woman and had my 3 nieces together, 4th on the way. I told Jojo how hurt I was by picking money over family, but I kinda expected it. She tried to offer me $50 to make the cake that she wanted, and I just declined. I shared this post with my brother and he's rolling while reading the comments. Also, to the people who DM me to tell me that they hope I go out of business, my boss says hi, by the way, and that I deserve getting abused as a child because I'm a snot now. F off. Stay awesome and as brutal as ever, Reddit. Thank you for all of your support. OP left a comment here that said, so some common questions I've received. Where would I be making the cake? One of the family quote-unquote friends' homes. They have a huge kitchen with multiple ovens and space. I've not been on good standing ground with them since I was 16. Why haven't you been invited to the wedding? How would you get the cake there? It's a plethora of reasons, from not following the same religious beliefs to not wanting to go to school for law or not wanting to be a trad wife, to me not being my abusive grandma's ass kisser. The list of my flaws according to my biological family is endless. I'd have to rent a car to transport the cake. In short, the type of cake they wanted was going to be $2,300 at the minimum. And they expected you to do that as a wedding present to a wedding that you're not even invited to? Where do these people get off? Oh, that's so awful. Like, so awful that it's laughable. Like, yeah, you're not invited to the wedding because we all feel like you're evil, but please make a 200-person wedding cake, and of course, we're not going to pay for it. You should do that out of the kindness of your heart. What a joke. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't need to say that you're not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's kids how broke he was when we met after they insinuated that I was a gold digger? I've 38 female, been married to my husband Rob, 52 male, for 4 years. My husband's late wife died 1 year before we met, and we dated for 2 years before marriage. He has 2 kids, 28 Madison and 26 Brett. Note that I'm not calling them my stepkids because they explicitly told me that I'm not their stepmom, I'm just their dad's wife. I didn't play a part in raising them, so I'm okay with that. It's always been tense between us. I've tried my best to be kind to them and have been generous when I can be, but they are very cold with me. Being a child of divorce, I can partially relate to a parent moving on, so I try not to force anything. Madison recently got engaged and we are excited about it. Everybody was over recently and she asked about a wedding budget from us, and Rob told her he was able to contribute $10,000. She has bigger hopes for a wedding than this, so she was upset and kept on asking for more. Rob, however, is still working hard on building his savings back up. Before his late wife died, he basically wiped out his cash savings, had to cash out a 401k, and even took a small mortgage on his house to cover medical costs, as well as his life expenses since he had to cut back on working. Eventually, he had to drop that job for a more flexible but lower paying one. So this $10,000 is really generous of him. Rob went out to run an errand and it was just me and his kids. Madison then asked me if I'm going to give any in addition to what her dad is giving. Wow, okay, so that's already sort of rude. I told her that we're a marital unit and that's what we discussed together as a reasonable amount to contribute. She then said, "Oh, I should have known. Obviously you married an older man for what he had, not for what you could give." Oh my god, that's such an a-hole thing to say. I knew that she didn't like me, but this was the most flat out rude thing she ever said. I kinda lost it and I said, "Excuse me, who do you think has been paying the second mortgage that your dad took out to pay his debts?" The truth of the matter is I make more than her father by a large margin. I have no debt and I've been paying 70% of the household bills the whole time that we've been married. The $10K that we're giving her is available because I've been able to subsidize her father's living expenses for a few years. I made it clear that not only am I not a gold digger, I'm literally wealthier than my older husband. She called me stuck up after this and stormed out. Oh no, they suck, OP. They're so rude. Then she called her dad later and said that I told her that I blamed her mother for being sick for her not having a better wedding budget. I told him what happened and he was mad at her, but also said that I should not have shared his financial details with the kids. Yeah, but the kids shouldn't be so rude. So how much are you gonna contribute to my wedding? Get out of here. So bloody rude. The audacity to say that. Like 100% what this is Madison has made her mind up on you. She's like, "No, I don't like you. You're either a gold digger or you're stuck up or you're an evil person." And yeah, I don't blame you for telling Madison how it is, OP. I don't get why she feels so entitled to be so rude to you for no reason. And also the audacity to ask you for money while also calling you a gold digger. Like, that's such a rude comment anyway. Like, "Oh, are you gonna contribute to my wedding?" The audacity. Yeah, this comment, not the a-hole. Next time Madison calls you a gold digger, tell her to hold the mirror up to her own face, because asking somebody to give more money is an a-hole move. Yeah, sounds so bratty and entitled. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. And like this comment says, not the a-hole, but your husband needs to have stern words with his kids. If he doesn't have a word about calling you a gold digger and then spouting lies, you maybe need to consider whether he does actually love and respect you. Perhaps he's the gold digger. And the comment above that one too, not the a-hole, he should have shared his financial situation himself. She's an adult and she's old enough to understand that medical expenses are the reason there aren't larger savings. This should not feel like blaming the sick person. It's a sad reality of for-profit healthcare. Yeah, I can't believe Madison in this story. That's such immature and entitled behavior from somebody who's about to get married. That's so bad. The next one is called, "Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter-in-law, for F's sake, I have a life and I'm not going to be a cookie cutter grandma and I will call the police." My son and my daughter-in-law have been married for around 7 years at this point. They have 2 kids. All of my children are out of the home and living their life. My husband and I are still working and will probably retire in 10 to 15 years, around 70. My daughter-in-law and I got along much better before the kids came into the picture. They live 30 minutes away and she's always trying to drop them off. I thought my son was in on this, but no. I sat them down and he had no idea that this was even happening. I showed them many texts asking for me to babysit, and he was under the impression that I've only babysat twice this month, not 16 times. Apparently she's been dropping them off with me to hang out with people, and my son was under the impression that she was taking them with her. I started to communicate in a group chat with them so everybody was on the same page. I only respond to her in the group chat, and if she does start to spam me with text messages about it, I throw a screenshot in the group chat and I have my son deal with it. We have talked and it comes down with her wanting her kids to have the same relationship that she had with her grandparents. In short, I explained that I'm still working and I will not have that relationship, that I can't have the kids every other day just like she had growing up. We agreed to every 2 weeks to have a grandma day. All good for about a year. My son is now traveling for work and she's at it again. The time difference makes it hard to have him shut it down when it happens. I was home for about an hour when she showed up at my home. She wanted me to babysit when she went shopping. I had had enough at this point. I told her, for F's sake, I have my own life, that I would not be the cookie cutter grandma that she wants, and if she does try to leave the kids with me from now on, without my agreement, that I'll call the police for abandonment. She called me a jerk and stormed off. My son called me trying to smooth it over and saying that I may have gone too far. Edit, for everybody going on about how he couldn't know. Doesn't he talk to his kids? The kids were 4 months and 1 year old when she kept on dropping them off. They weren't really talking. The older sure could move, but not a big talker. It really hit off when she was pregnant and got even worse when the second one was born. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole, OP, and I don't feel like you went too far. Like, yeah, awesome. Your daughter-in-law had a good relationship with her grandparents. It's not fair to make you feel like that you have to do the same when you can't. Like the top comment says, not the a-hole. That's nice that she had that kind of relationship with her grandparents, but absolutely nothing entitles her to force it onto you. Good job on the boundaries. Your son needs to step up here too, though, and get more involved with his own kids. The group text idea was brilliant and is a great way to keep him in the loop. And OP said, don't make assumptions. He is very involved with the kids. When he comes back from the trip, he will always take take the kids out to let her have a chance to herself. He's been to every milestone they've ever had. He just gave her a weekend trip with their friends for Mother's Day and stayed behind with the kids. He goes to their doctor appointments. They switch off childcare mornings and nights. He takes them with him all the time. He spends alone time with the kids. The kids are in daycare, so really they have nights together. He is a good father. Not his fault that he needed to travel for work so they have money. That's what happens when you're the main breadwinner. Work says go do it, and then you go do it. And the comment under that says not his fault either that he married somebody that wanted kids, but not the responsibility of raising them. Daughter-in-law is the a-hole. Yeah, definitely. You're not the a-hole, OP. The next one is called Am I the a-hole for not making food for my dad's stepkids? I, 16 male, make my own lunch for school. I started making them when I was 11 and my mum was sick with cancer, and now I make all of my lunches. My dad refuses to give me lunch money for school, said no way in hell to making them. Mum made his and now he pays for lunch every day, and doesn't want to give me permission to eat outside school, which is an option with parents' consent, because he'd need to pay for that, so I make them. I work part-time, and so I started paying for the ingredients I use in my lunches. My dad got married 2-ish years ago. His wife has 3 kids who are 5, 7, and 8. For about a year, there's been this issue where my dad and his wife want me to make all 4 lunches. They said if I'm making my own, I should make my siblings, and I say quote-unquote siblings because they're not my siblings, lunches too to save their mum time and to streamline everything. I was like, no, and my dad's wife was shocked. She called me out for making stuff only for myself. She said that it's crazy that I would look at my siblings and not want to make a few things for them too. No, it's not. Oh my god. You're already so not in the wrong, OP. It escalated to where they said that I shouldn't get to eat their dinners if I won't participate in taking care of the family. Oh wow, I bet you can't wait to move out, OP. So I buy my own dinner stuff from now on, and I make my own. And now they're calling me out for doing that. They said I could make dinner for all 4 of us, and then we could eat dinner earlier and my dad and his wife could do something else. Why the hell should OP do something for you? Oh, they sound awful, OP. My dad's wife didn't make lunches for her kids on several occasions to try and make me relent. Their teachers ended up feeding them and writing to her about it. She was super pissed off and asked me if I was ashamed. Oh, the audacity. I told her they're her kids and her problem, not mine. I also suggested that she take it up with my dad if she's not happy and wants help feeding her kids because it's not my job. She said that if dad won't feed me, he won't feed her kids. I shrugged her off. Oh, they're so awful, OP. Monday was a big day in all of this. I was home for hours alone and I made a nice dinner. I was eating when my dad's wife came home with her kids who were hungry, and she exploded on me and asked if I'd made the kids dinner. I said no. Yeah, why should you have to make them dinner? She demanded that I make it up to them by making them lunch for Tuesday, yesterday, and I said no. She called me a bunch of names and told me that she freaking hates me because I'm supposed to be a decent kid. Oh, get out of here. And yet I won't help feed her kids, and it's not how you treat family. I told her because it's not my job and we're not a family. I pointed out that she married a guy who isn't a good dad to his own kid, and how her only interactions with said kid were attempting to dump responsibility onto him, me, so she really has no reason to think that I owe her anything, which of course led her to calling me all sorts of things, including an ass. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. You're 16. It's revolting that they're treating you like this, OP. These are garbage excuses for adults, OP. Like the way that they're acting is embarrassing. Yeah, wow, that's so sad. That post really struck a chord with me for some reason. Like, it's so unfair the way they're treating you, OP. And the audacity that they feel like they're right. Ew. Yeah, this comment, not the a-hole. Document everything and tell her if she refuses to feed her kids again, you're calling CPS. OP, I think you're the reason she married your dad. She was well aware that your dad was nothing more than half of your DNA. She saw you and how independent you are and said, oh boy, free babysitter. And he cooks too. I can dump my kids on him and finally have a life. But then obviously you refuse to play her game and that pisses her off. I don't see that relationship lasting after she loses the kids and the deadbeat that she married refuses to help. And OP said, yeah, I got that from her as well, but maybe she'll be glad if they can live as a child-free couple, because I find it really hard to believe that she cares that much about her kids when she's willing to do all of this and upset them more. And the comment under that says, not the a-hole. Why is she doubling down on withholding food from her 5-year-old and the others? That's abuse. And OP said she way overestimated how I feel about them. I think she really did believe that I see them, her and her kids, as family. I don't. I don't hate her kids either, but I don't feel family obligations to them like she thinks. Yeah, and you don't have to, OP. Oh, I feel so sorry for you. That's such an awful situation. But yeah, you are so not the a-hole. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for telling my mum to get a job like everybody else? My 34 female mother, 59 female, hasn't worked for the last 30 years. When we were little, dad worked and she was a stay-at-home mum. She refused to work even when we were older. I remember my parents fighting about it. After their divorce, mum remarried almost instantly and relied on her much older husband, who died last year, leaving everything for his adult kids and almost nothing for her. After the death of her second husband, mum moved in with my brother and his wife. She was was supposed to look after their kids while they work. This didn't work out, and they're kicking her out, which is totally my mum's fault. I told her multiple times this would happen if she continued to act like she did. She was extremely mean to sister-in-law, tried to run their household, acted like the queen, refused to watch the kids full-time, which was their original agreement. She only watched them like half a day, twice a week, and when she did, she neglected them, like not changing a poopy diaper for God knows how long because she was hoping sister-in-law would come back soon and do it, which resulted in the baby getting a very nasty rash. Now she wants to move in with me. She's saying that she'd help with the kid. I have a 2-year-old. I told her no. I saw what happened to my brother and sister-in-law. You caused major issues in their marriage and I will not risk it. After all, you always told us adult children should never live with their parents. Yep, we were both kicked out at 18 right after we were done with school. She started crying and saying that she doesn't have anywhere to go. She has until the end of the month to leave my brother's house. I told her neither did I when she kicked me out at 18, and I went to live on my friend's couch, but I worked and eventually I rented a room, so I guess that's what she should do. That's what everybody else does. She asked me to at least pay her rent until she gets back on her feet. I said no, you're a healthy working age person. You should not be freeloading. That's what she told me when I was 18. We had a very big fight, but I refused to let her move in or give her money. I'm sure that she should still have some from her inheritance, and I know for a fact that my brother gave her money, so I didn't feel guilty at all. Now multiple relatives are texting me basically saying that me and sister-in-law are horrible people. Mum's dead husband's son called to scold me, telling me that my mum is my responsibility and not theirs, so I should do what's right. I do not feel guilty, but perhaps that's what makes me the a-hole. Am I? I do feel bad about people claiming that I'm a bad daughter, mainly because my mother was never a model mum herself. She never put her kids first and was generally disinterested in us unless she needed something. I mean, if she were nice, I'd be happy to have her near. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. And either is your brother or his wife. Of course your mum is the a-hole. Like, oh, are they the consequences of my actions? Oh no! I've never had to face them before. It's not your fault, OP. The top comment says, when a relative calls berating you for not housing your mother, your only response should be, oh, I'm so glad that you called and that you're so concerned. I'll let mum know that you've offered her lodging. Please reach out to her directly to make arrangements. Not the a-hole. Yeah, and also this comment, not the a-hole. You have the benefit of knowing exactly how she'll act. If you take her in, you'll probably suffer every day until you kick her out, depending on how much money your brother gave her and how much she got from the inheritance. I might consider kicking in a little extra just to completely wash my hands of the situation, but you're totally justified giving her nothing, and the fact that she's also pestering and guilting her husband's son does not make this your problem. Oh, that's so frustrating. Like, oh, let me just kick out my 18-year-old child, and OP had to live on their friend's couch, and then also let me leech off everybody around me, and then have the audacity, the gall to say this to OP. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. You did the right thing. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for not having an excited reaction to my wife's surprise early Father's Day gift? 34 male here. I'm not sure how to start this, so I'll just get right into it. My wife surprised me with a gift that when presented, I didn't really have the best reaction to. My wife had the day off and wanted to have a day with her friend to watch Bridgerton and drink mimosas. Since she was having her day off with her girlfriend, I decided to get a couple of rounds of disc golf in. I get off work and I do the daily chores, garbage, walk the dog, feed myself. As I'm leaving to walk the dog, I tell my wife that I'm going to play disc golf when I'm done, to which she replies, well, maybe you shouldn't. I'll tell you when you get back. This already kind of dampened my mood as I had a long day, and getting some light exercise in some clear weather sounded quite nice. Not to mention that I've made said plans with a couple of people which now I may have to cancel. Not the biggest deal, right? Now that's out of the way, here's the meat and potatoes. She got me a grill, and not only that, but I have to go pick up said grill, assemble it, and prepare dinner for the guests because it's nice out and she invited friends over for me to cook for. It was presented in a manner of, I got you a grill and I invited our friends over, and when you get it put together, you can use it. Needless to say, my internal self was screaming and the stress meter moved up a bit. I gave her, oh cool, and I tried my hardest not to seem ungrateful, but the surprise seemed very impulsive and created a ton of work for me to do, so I cancelled my plans. My wife cancelled the pickup order due to my ungrateful attitude. We're now going out to eat with said people, and we're in a fight. Am I the a-hole? No, OP, not even a little bit. The top comment, not the a-hole. Your wife surprised you with a job, not a gift. Yeah, and the fact that your wife doesn't realize that, like, what do you mean? Yeah, like this other comment says, this is the equivalent of, I got you a vacuum for Mother's Day. There's a comment that says, yeah, that's a pretty crappy gift, not the a-hole about the grill for sure. Info, is there more context here? Is she pissed off about a similarly bad Mother's Day and passive-aggressively getting back at you? The timing in the weird holiday, it's still 4 weeks out, would argue in that direction. And OP said she had a chill Mother's Day. I kicked her out of the house to get a massage and go get mani-pedis with her gals. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole, OP. The comment under that says, hey wife, I bought you a vacuum and I sprinkled flour all over the house. I've invited a bunch of people, including your in-laws, over for a party. Bet you can't wait. Hop to it. Not the a-hole. And if she can't see that, then you guys have bigger issues than a barbecue. Yeah, and this other comment, not the a-hole, get her a washing machine for her birthday with a nice load of dirty laundry to test drive it. Am I the a-hole for not picking a new colour for my house even though my son finds the one that we have embarrassing? Okay, so I'm gonna guess not the a-hole. I bought my house 15 years ago. It was a fixer-upper and it needed a lot of work. The only thing I kept in the house is it's painted bright pink. The guy I bought it from said that it was his deceased father's house. He had painted it this way to piss off his neighbours. I decided I liked the colour and I kept it the way it was. When I married my wife a year later, she agreed. We now have 3 kids, a 13-year-old boy, a 10-year-old girl, and an 8-year-old girl. We're doing some minor renovations to the house and we've decided to touch up the paint as it has been a while. My son asked that we paint it a normal colour because it's embarrassing to live in a pink house. We declined and we said that we like the colour. Ultimately, it's our house and we'll be living in it longer than him. When we die, he's free to paint it whatever he wants. My mother-in-law feels like we're being unfair and that we should take into account how embarrassing it is for a teen boy to live in a Barbie house. We asked my son if he's being teased and he said no, but he hates it. Our daughters like it. Are we wrong for not painting the house a normal colour? Wow, that's so interesting. That's definitely the first post I've read about a pink house. But no, you're not the a-hole, OP. And no, there's nothing wrong with you saying no, OP. You're not being cruel or anything. And like this comment says, why the flip is your mother-in-law even weighing in on this? What business is it of hers? Answer, none. If she's not going to pony up on the mortgage or buy the paint and grab a brush, she's welcome to keep her big yap shut. Yeah, that's so frustrating when we hear stuff like that. And yeah, of course you don't need to paint your house a normal colour. I think it's bloody awesome that it is bright pink, and it does sound like the story behind it is sweet too. Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole. I live in a pink house. The colour was chosen by my husband's grandfather when the house was built. It's the only pink house in our area, and anytime somebody asks where we live, we say the pink house on our street, and they all know the house. It's on a main road, so it sticks out in the sea of traditional colours. The story behind the house is, my husband's grandfather was known to be a very frugal man. When it came to picking a house colour, he chose what was on sale, hence the pink. 60 years later, and we've never spoke of changing it because we love the story. 3 generations have been raised in this house. There's something very special about seeing the house unchanged over the years, as the scenery around it has changed and the people who were raised there are now grown up and they've all got families, and now us raising our son here. I love that his great-grandfather has pictures in front of the house and now our son does too. Yeah, that's so cute. Like, of course, your son isn't an a-hole either, OP. But yeah, it's your house and you're definitely not the a-hole for not repainting it. 1,000,000%. Story number 2 is called, am I the a-hole for telling my wife to never volunteer me to help her family again? My wife, 38 female, and I, 39 male, have been married for 8 years and have a 4-year-old son. My wife's younger brother, Joe, and his girlfriend are moving into an apartment together at the beginning of June. But girlfriend's lease is up at the end of April, so she needed to move out of her place. But Joe currently lives in a studio apartment, so he doesn't have a room for all of her stuff. So they were going to move all of girlfriend's stuff into a storage unit for a month until they got their new place together. A little over a month ago, Joe had asked my wife if we would be able to help them move girlfriend's stuff, and she agreed. My mother-in-law was supposed to watch our son so we could both help, but she fell ill and she had to cancel. My wife suggested trying to get a babysitter for that day, but I didn't want to spend hundreds on a babysitter to help somebody move. That's dumb. And bringing a 4-year-old with us would not be helpful to anybody. This turned into an argument between us because she said that I should help them move while she watches our son, since I'm stronger than she is and I know how to drive a truck with a trailer. I told her that she should help them and have them rent a U-Haul for the day. We compromised by telling Joe that I would help them, but they need to get a U-Haul instead of using our truck and trailer. Then the morning of the move, this past Saturday, my wife told me that a friend of hers got sweet tickets through work to a hockey game for that day and invited them. Yeah, sweet tickets to a playoff hockey game. She said she'd be bringing her son since her friend was bringing her kids too. Great, so not only do I get stuck helping somebody move, but my wife and son get to go to an amazing experience together that I miss out on. And yeah, this was my son's first major sporting event and I was missing it. And wouldn't you know, Joe never got a U-Haul and his girlfriend wasn't even close to packed up and ready when I got there. I spent 7 to 8 hours and multiple trips back and forth helping them move, all the while my wife is sending pictures to our family group chat of how much fun they're having at the hockey game. When everybody was home that night, my wife was surprised that I wasn't in a good mood. She said that I acted like I barely cared when our son was telling us about the hockey game and how much fun it was. I asked her if she was seriously confused about why I was upset, and she told me to tell her. So I started railing off all the reasons I had to be pissed off. She volunteered me to help. She got to spend the day doing something very special with our son that I missed out on. Her brother and his girlfriend were not prepared, and I'd spent the entire day doing manual labor. I ended my little rant by telling her that she's never going to volunteer me to help her family ever again. She told me that I was overreacting and that I can't hold it against her that her friend friend invited them to a game. She also said I'm not being fair by blaming her for Joe and his girlfriend. Yeah, but like by that logic, why weren't you allowed to go OP? Yeah, like the top comment says, geez, not the a-hole. She told me I was overreacting and I can't hold it against her that her friend invited them to a game. You're not holding it against her that her friend invited them to a game. That's ridiculous. You're upset that while she volunteered and strong-armed you into doing this favor, she apparently was having a grand old time. How callous do you have to be to not only continuously send pictures of their good time while you're stuck doing something that she made you do, but then to pretend that you're upset because she was invited by a friend? I'm guessing you couldn't care less that she was invited. I'm guessing what actually hurts is her blatant disregard for your time and energy, and on top of that, missing that with your son. She also said I'm not being fair by blaming her for Joe and his girlfriend. Remind me who volunteered you for the job. Yeah, what the hell? You're not in the wrong, OP. I feel sorry for you. And like the comment under that says, I think the wife knows that she was in the wrong, so she tried to change the argument. It was almost successful too, and made OP doubt himself enough to make this post. Yeah, definitely. That's so awful. That's not good, OP. And also imagine doing that and sending photos of yourself to the family group chat. Oh, just rubbing it in. Well, yeah, rubbing it in, but also showing that they don't care. Oh, that sucks, OP. Your wife is definitely in the wrong. And like this other comment says, not the a-hole. It's deeply inconsiderate of your wife to volunteer you without even asking your permission first, and doubly so of her accusing you of blaming her for Joe and his girlfriend, when she was the one who volunteered that you clean up their mess. Next time they need help in any way that's a meaningful time or energy commitment, if your wife thinks that they need help that bad, she can go. Yeah, please show this to your wife, OP. The volunteering somebody else to do something is so bad too. Like, come on, at least ask. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for telling my parents that I would have preferred the original name that they planned to give me instead of the one they actually gave me? My parents recently told me, 22 female, that they had considered another name for me when mum was pregnant with me. Actually, it was the name that they had decided to give me really until my mum changed her mind. The original name was Dove Emberly, but my mum was worried that it was too weird, and after a while she wanted to change it. My dad never did, but eventually it was decided that I'd be named Emily Catherine. I don't think my dad really likes my name, but maybe he wouldn't have liked anything other than the original. The conversation about my original name came back up between my parents first when my mum basically asked dad if he wasn't glad that they changed their minds, and dad said no. So they actually asked me and they told me the two names. I told them I would have preferred the original, and I was kind of sad that I didn't get Dove as my name, which would be way better than Emily in my opinion. And the middle name Emberly I actually prefer too, lol. Mum mentioned Ocean or Ocean had also been a contender too, and I said that would have been amazing. Mum wasn't really happy. Dad told me if I wanted to use the original name, he'd give me the money to change my name. Mum wasn't happy with him. Oh god. But she really wasn't happy with me. She told me I didn't even hesitate to say that I preferred the original name, and she asked me why I liked it so much, and told me how sad it made her that the name she felt would suit me better for my entire life instead of as a little girl was one that I could discard so easily, especially because I reacted positively to Dad saying that he'd pay for me to change my name. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. They asked you your opinion, and you gave them your opinion. If they didn't want to know, they shouldn't have asked you. Yeah, literally, the top comment, your mum was given the gift of learning an age-old lesson. Don't ask questions if you aren't prepared to hear an answer that you don't like. Not the a-hole. Yeah, I don't feel like you're the a-hole, OP. There's nothing wrong with any of the names, and the name that you do have is completely fine, but that's also not what you're asking. But are you the a-hole for saying that you actually did like the original name? No, I don't think so. They were literally asking you. Okay, story number 4. Am I the a-hole for asking you or like friends who don't understand boundaries to respect them because it feels like they're stalking us? My husband and I have a lake home. We've been there almost 4 years. In that time, we've become good friends with a few other households on our corner of the lake. Some of our group is quite outgoing, always meeting new people in our lake community and being welcoming, us included. Everybody's awesome, but one couple has been pretty problematic. Last year we met Roger and Helene. They have a seasonal cottage on a different part of the lake. They're around on the weekends. They check in with us and our friend group when in town, or stop by unannounced. This is fine. What's hard is they want to get together all of the time and don't seem to accept it when we tell them that we're busy. They get in their boat, drive over to our area and anchor straight in front of our property. It makes everybody uncomfortable. They'll stay for an hour plus if we're working in the yard. They'll repeatedly go by telling us to quit working to join them. Other times when at the campfire, they'll dock their boat at one of our docks and then join us at the fire without an invitation. Yeah, that's just rude, OP. I don't feel like you're the a-hole. They'll also drive or walk over from their place to check up on us, even after being told that we're not available. Okay, that's just ridiculous. When we're in our boat, they'll drive over and say, let's tie up the boats so we can hang out on the water together. Normally it's okay, except for when we're hosting people. We have struggled with how to say no. My husband and I would never say, let's tie up to other boaters. We would swing by, say hello, and then see if we're invited. If not, we move along. That's protocol, but it's lost on Roger and Helene. Recently, out-of-town friends who have been to the lake a few times declined our invitation to visit, citing that they I don't like the visits being interrupted by the neighbors, specifically Roger and Helene. Wow, okay, so now it's affecting other people. Our core friend group is very respectful about visitors, so we know who was the issue. Our corner of the lake complains about these two all the time and has struggled with how to handle their constant orbiting. Having a visit invitation turned down because of them made me extra annoyed. So 2 weeks ago we were on our pontoon with friends when Roger and Helene showed up and said, let's tie up. We'd already told them we were busy via text when they checked in, but apparently they just couldn't resist coming out when they saw us. Being extra annoyed, I finally spoke up. Sorry, we're good, we're entertaining. We'll have to get together another time. Later, I got an angry text from Helene. Come on. She said I was rude and embarrassed them. I texted back saying that I was sorry that they felt that way, but they needed to respect when we're busy, and at times my husband and I did feel stalked. I haven't heard from them since. A couple of our core friends say I shouldn't have said anything, that their stalking isn't a big deal. They're nice. This is surprising and upsetting me. I thought they'd understand why I spoke up. Plus, I didn't drag any of them into it. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP, and of course you had to say something. You did the right thing. You're not meant to be a doormat in this situation. Like if somebody is taking advantage of you and they're not listening and they're not respecting your boundaries and they're not respecting when you say no, you especially need to say something. The top comment says, not the a-hole, you didn't embarrass them. They embarrassed themselves, and it sounds like your other neighbors feel free to talk behind their backs. All you did was politely enforce a boundary that was getting stomped on. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, you did the right thing, OP. You had to say something. Like they're not listening and they need to. And the comment under that one says, not the a-hole. The way that you handled this was textbook perfect, except that you could have done it sooner. They checked in via text and you told them you were busy. They showed up anyway and you told them you were busy. Perfect. That's not mean and that's not rude. They showed up when you specifically told them that you weren't available, and then they acted all butthurt because you repeated that we're not available. If anything, it might be helpful to set a more explicit boundary with them, like this. Hey, if we say that we're busy, then that means we aren't free for you to come over. If you do come over, we'll send you away. That's a completely normal and healthy boundary to set. Sometimes clueless people need to hear the rules very openly and clearly. Yeah, it definitely does sound like they're clueless. And yeah, they would have done this a few different times and they would have been like, oh, well, you know, I've done it before, so it must be completely fine. Yeah, you did the right thing by saying something, OP. If anything, yeah, you should have said something sooner. And you definitely did not embarrass them. Okay, story number 5. Am I the a-hole for not getting upset or convincing the bride after I was uninvited to my friend's wedding? This happened over the weekend, but there's still so much tension. One of my good friends, Matthew, 26 male, is getting married next month to Jennifer, 26 female. I, 25 female, have known Matthew since high school. We've both connected when it came to video games, especially Minecraft. Matthew has had his fair share of girlfriends over the years, but when he met Jennifer 3 years ago, he said that he knew that she was the one and they're madly in love with each other, and I'm so happy for them both. Last year, Matthew popped the question to Jennifer and she said yes. Jennifer's demeanor towards me drastically changed after the engagement. She was distant towards me, she wouldn't look at me, and she would hardly speak to me, which was so weird. Since Jennifer was always so sweet and so nice towards me, I would still talk to Matthew and meet with him and our group of friends, sometimes with Jennifer, and she would still act cold and not speak to me much. I kept my distance from Jennifer. 3 months ago, we all received a save the date invitation and their wedding is going to take place at Matthew's cabin, 2 hours away, and they were going to keep it small due to the size of the cabin, so we were only allowed to bring one guest. That was when Jennifer acted extremely harsh and hostile towards me and said, I bet you don't have a +1 since you're so into my man. Oh my god. I was taken aback. I asked her what the hell she was talking about, and she smirked and said that I knew and to not act stupid. I ignored her remark and I told her my boyfriend was coming. She looked surprised and left. I of course told Matthew about what Jennifer said to me, and he was not happy, so he made sure to apologize to me. Then last weekend, I was invited to Matthew's sisters to go dress shopping with her and Jennifer. I declined at first because I wanted to keep my distance from Jennifer, but Matthew's sister assured me that she will deal with Jennifer and that our other friends will be there with us. So we go dress shopping and I found a beautiful dress that I thought would be perfect, and I took a picture of it to send to my boyfriend since he planned on matching, with a bow tie. I tried the dress on and it was a perfect fit, so I guess I got lucky. Jennifer was angry, called me names such as you know what, a boyfriend stealing biatch, and that I was officially uninvited to the wedding. Wait a second, why? She caused such a commotion the employee of the store asked us to leave. I told Jennifer that I didn't want to come to the wedding anyway, but I was going to because my friend was getting married. I told her if she didn't want me at the wedding, fine. I don't give a damn since I'm not going to go to a wedding if the bride is going to be so rude to a guest. Matthew and her friends found out and I was getting texts left and right begging me to just come to the wedding. I told them I was happy to get uninvited and I'll just spend a day with my boyfriend on the day of the wedding instead. They're all mad at me for not fighting hard enough. Am I the a-hole? Oh my god, you're so not the a-hole, OP. What have you even done? And why should you have to fight harder? This isn't your issue. If Jennifer stopped acting the way that she was acting, maybe it'd be fine. But you're not in the wrong for not trying harder. Why would you want to go? Why are they being so awful? Edit, so my decision is final. I will not be going to the wedding and there's no changing my mind about it. I will be be sending a wedding gift to Matthew the day prior to the wedding instead. I told Matthew and all of my friends that I won't be going and they can't convince me. Matthew also called me and asked me if we can talk somewhere. I agreed, but it's to tell him in person that I won't go, so that way he knows I'm serious about it. Update, I met up with Matthew and I brought my boyfriend along. Of course, he begged me to come to the wedding and he said he would beg Jennifer to let me attend. I told him it's best if I wasn't there. I told Matthew that Jennifer has a problem with me, period. He said that he doesn't understand and he did ask her many times, but Jennifer would continue to say that she was just dressed. Oh yeah, that's what that is. Come on. I got angry and I said that's a BS and he knows it. My boyfriend also intervened and said to Matthew that he needs to wake up and realize that Jennifer is crazy and he can't keep defending her. Matthew said that he loves her too much and he doesn't want to lose her. My boyfriend and I got up and told Matthew to let us know when he has a backbone. In the meantime, it's best that we don't talk. I messaged all of our friends in the group to let them know I'm keeping a distance from Matthew because of Jennifer. He is still my friend, but at an arm's length. I will still be sending him a gift regardless, but I'm keeping my distance from Matthew. It seems like he's in denial and can't comprehend what's going on at all. He usually is in denial. Ever since high school, he would have a sense of denial. Another thing to mention is that Jennifer is nice to all of Matthew's female friends, just not with me. I've also gotten a message from 2 of our friends saying that they've dropped out of attending the wedding because of Jennifer and that they're on my side. Wow. Edit 2, Jennifer already bought her wedding dress a while ago. When I went dress shopping with Matthew's sister, she invited Jennifer as a way to resolve the animosity that she had towards me. So it was Matthew's sister who wanted to buy a dress, and I found a dress that I loved, and Jennifer went crazy. I hope that clears things up since there were so many confused. Oh my god, that's so wild, OP. No, this isn't your fault, and you're definitely not the a-hole. How insecure is Jennifer though? And why does she only have something against you, OP? Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole, there's something fishy here. Unless she has gone crazy, somebody must have told her something, or she must have misinterpreted something. Anyway, it's her wedding. If she doesn't want you there, it's not your job to beg. Your friend should be able to deal with his soon-to-be wife on his own. Yeah, and like the top comment says, not the a-hole, this is wild. You're the one being made uncomfortable after Jennifer started displaying this two-faced behavior, since she was nice before. And what, you're somehow to blame? That's some major BS. Edit to add, also not fighting hard enough. Part of adulthood is about learning which battles are worth fighting. Kudos to you for not wasting your time and energy on this one. Yeah, that's such a good point. Why the hell should you have to fight harder? Maybe Jennifer shouldn't be acting like this. Yeah, you're doing the right thing, OP. Good luck with this situation. Okay, story number 6, which will probably be the last one for today. Am I the a-hole for giving away my dad and my sister's tickets to my graduation ceremony and telling them to not bother showing up? I, 18 female, have my high school graduation ceremony this Wednesday. It was sent to my parents in an email that I'll be giving a speech that day as my grades made me valedictorian. Oh wow, congratulations. And I was excited to do so. My school made us reverse and buy tickets to the ceremony weeks in advance, and I picked mine up on the 26th. The problem started at dinner when I told my family I picked up the tickets for my graduation day and that I'd keep them with me until the day of just to make sure they don't get lost. My dad told me that he and my sister had plans for an hour before the ceremony, but that my mum would be there the whole time and that they would try to be there for the after party. I was shocked for a moment before starting to laugh, assuming they weren't serious. When I realized they actually weren't joking, I'll admit I was a bit mad. I'm usually a very shy and non-confrontational person, even around my family, but I started yelling at my dad and sister, asking if they were seriously ditching my graduation ceremony. I told them the after party was useless to attend and that all the pictures of the graduates with their families will be taken at least 2 hours before the ceremony. They said it's fine and we can take our own pictures the day after my graduation, but I got up and left dinner. Over the weekend, I saw a few people on my class group chat complain that they didn't get enough tickets, so I offered up the 2 tickets I had, and I met up with a girl from my class to give them to her, and even though I told her not to, she actually paid me the original price for them. When the topic of graduation was brought up by my dad today during lunch, I told him that I gave the other 2 tickets away and only my mum will be attending, so they shouldn't even bother with the after party. He got mad and asked me why I would do that, to which I replied that I don't see the point in wasting money on tickets if they're not going to use them, and my dad blew up on me, saying that I'm acting like a spoilt brat. Oh, come on. And it's not like I'll die if he and my sister are a bit late to my graduation. I spoke to a few people about it, my friends and my grandma. My friend said good riddance, and if they consider their plans more important, they can have fun. But my grandma said that while she does understand my side, I shouldn't have given away the tickets just to spite my dad, because maybe he would have changed his mind and gone on time. So I'm looking for a non-biased opinion. Am I the a-hole? Edit for information. My plans my dad and sister have is some sleepover with her and her friend group in the north, around a 2-hour drive from where we live. The parents didn't want to leave a bunch of under 16-year-old girls alone that far, so everybody's parents are also going for supervision, apart from my mum, who's going to be at my graduation. Right, okay, there's an update here. Hey everybody, first of all, I want to thank you for the interaction that my original post got, which I ended up showing to my mum. We had a laugh together at some of the comments about my dad, and she wanted me to tell you that she appreciated the kind words about her as well. My graduation was today, so here's an update to my original post a couple of days ago. Although it was just my mum and I, the day did go really well. We took probably 100 photos together, both with the school photographer photographer and my mum's camera. The girl I gave the tickets to, as well as her family, even took photos with my mum and I. I gave my speech in front of the families of maybe 100 plus students. My school has 3 different programs, so a lot of people, and was even surprised with certificates of excellence in psychology and IT when the time came for me to get my diploma. As for my dad and my sister has been spamming her social media with videos of the sleepover with her friends, to which I'm pretty unbothered. My friends and I ended up ditching the after party anyway and went for dinner in the city with her parents instead. Overall, while I'm disappointed that my entire family wasn't there, I'm more than happy with it just being my mum, and I honestly feel like I had more fun with her alone than I would have had if the rest of my family showed up. Wow, okay. Yeah, of course you weren't the a-hole, OP. And shout out to your mum. And also, huge congratulations to you. Absolutely killing it. There's a comment here that says not the a-hole. I have to know though, why is your mum not going nuclear on your dad and sister? I don't understand. Is she scared of him? And OP said no. My mum has been going off on him ever since he announced the other plans. She's the exact opposite of me, not non-confrontational at all. Well, yeah, that's good at least. Cause yeah, your dad and your sister were for sure in the wrong. You can see where their priorities are. And yeah, you weren't the a-hole, OP. Am I the a-hole for putting a lien on my brother's house and refusing to remove it until he pays me? I do house renovations as a business. Even when I do work for family and friends at a discount, I have a contract. My nephews are getting bigger and they want separate rooms. My brother asked me to help him finish his basement, make a couple of rooms down there, add a washroom, add a kitchenette, and wire up a family room. I priced it out and I said I'd charge him $32,000, including material. This was a sizable discount. The bathroom alone I'd charge anybody else $15,000. His wasn't even roughed in. He never paid me. He always had excuses. I paid for the material and I paid my guys for the work. We did it when I had downtime so I didn't lose out on other money, but it still sucked to get shafted. So I put a construction lien on the house. He didn't care and I wasn't going to make him homeless. That was 2 years ago. Now he got a new job and he has to move. And to get a new house, he has to sell his current house, which he can't do because there's a lien against the property. He called me to get me to remove it. He promised he would pay me as soon as it sold. I told him, F you, pay me. My parents called me to tell me that they would pay what he owes. I said I'd agree so long as he paid them back. And if he didn't, then any money he didn't pay back had to come out of any inheritance that we were getting, God forbid, and that interest started accruing from the day of the loan. They agreed that that was fair. My brother called me to scream at me for involving my parents and about the inheritance. I reminded him that he involved them, not me. He finally took money out from a credit line and paid me with interest. I'm a reasonable man. The house sold over asking and the finished basement suite made a huge difference on what he got. He is still pissed at me for doing it, but I did everything legal and by the books. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. What did your brother expect? Like what, your brother was never gonna pay you and he thinks that's okay? Like how would you ever be the a-hole in this situation? The top comment says not the a-hole. Who thinks you are besides him? And OP said his wife, her parents, and my parents aren't happy. Yeah, but that doesn't even make sense. Like what have you done? You were giving your brother such a huge discount already and the brother felt like it was okay to never pay you. Like this other comment says, not the a-hole. Brother seems like he was trying to get it for free and never would have paid you unless you forced the issue. F you, pay me sounds like an entirely reasonable approach here. Yeah, it does sound like that, doesn't it? Like he was never gonna pay. Like, oh, you're my brother, you'll do it for free, surely. And from what OP said here, it's not like it was only OP who was doing the work. OP obviously has a construction crew, so they need to get paid for their work as well, because it said there, I paid for the material and I paid for my guys for the work. So yeah, OP's already paid for this out of their own pocket. And what, the brother thinks that's okay? Yeah, of course you're not the a-hole, OP. I don't understand how they feel like you are. Like this other comment says, not the a-hole, but wow, your brother has some balls. Give me 30,000 plus in renovation so I can stiff you. Damn, people cut others out for less. Yeah, that's a lot of money to not pay somebody. Story number 2. Am I the a-hole for taking back a gift after I learned that the birthday person would not be the one who's using it? My daughter Jenny, 13, has a best friend Morgan, nearly 13. The two spend a lot of time together at our place. I don't know Morgan's mother very well as Jenny doesn't often go to their house. This is mainly because Morgan's house is a little chaotic. She has 4 siblings. Jenny is an only child and Morgan has said that she likes the quiet. Morgan has done a lot of stuff with us. I occasionally enter radio and online competitions and I'll win tickets to certain local events. When I won 4 tickets to a concert last year, Jenny and I brought Morgan along with one other friend. We all had a blast. Recently I won another pair of tickets to a concert that I plan to attend with Jenny. A few days after, I was told about a work trip that I have to take that falls that weekend. Jenny usually comes with me, so Jenny suggested that we give the tickets to Morgan for her birthday. She could either go with another friend or her mum. I checked with Morgan's mum before we mentioned this, and she said that was fine. Last night Morgan was at our house and she seemed upset. When I asked her why, she said said that her mum was taking her brother to the concert. Oh, what? Because her brother has never been to a concert before. I asked if Morgan's brother even liked the band, and Morgan said no, it was just the principle of the matter. Morgan and her other 3 siblings have been to concerts. He hasn't, and since they can't afford stuff like this, he gets to go. I found this unfair and honestly a waste of tickets. I called Morgan's mum to double check this story, and she confirmed it all, including her 11-year-old son barely knowing anything about the band. I said I'm sorry, but I don't feel right giving these as a birthday gift anymore, as these were for Morgan. I said that we'd give them to Jenny and Morgan's other friend, who I know likes the band, and we'll get Morgan something else for her birthday. Morgan is fine with this. Now Morgan's mum is pissed and saying that I'm trying to tell her how to parent. I don't think I am, because if a different friend gave Morgan the tickets and it was the same result, as crappy as I'd find her mum doing this, I wouldn't say anything as it's not my business. As I'm giving the tickets, I want them to go to Morgan. I'd also maybe feel different if the brother loved the band too, but he doesn't. I don't want to give them to them. So I'm left wondering if I'm the ass here. No, you're not OP, and that's such a crappy thing of Morgan's mum to do. Like what, they're planning on taking Morgan's gift away and giving it to their other kid? Nah. The top comment says, not the yay hole. Please tell you're just as curious as to what is really going on, because that's insane. Why is her mum dragging a kid to a concert if the kid doesn't even want to go? If we were friends, I'd volunteer my own money to Morgan's mum to take little brother to a concert that he may actually enjoy, because why? Talk about an utter waste. Kid's gonna hate it. Morgan is gonna be pissed. You're gonna be pissed. Does the mum like the band? But then why bring uninterested kid? I don't get it. Morgan's mum must be going through something. I feel bad for her because clearly something else is afoot. This is the dumbest of all possible plans. Why is she fighting for it? I'd love to know what's really going on. I'd feel better if Morgan's mum just took the tickets herself and went on a date. I could understand that. Mother of 5 really wanting to go out. Okay, I understand. Still an a-hole move, but at least I understand. And OP said the mum doesn't even like the band either. It's a group directed at teens, not saying adults can't like it, but she's already said that it isn't her thing, and she's only going as the 11-year-old and Morgan are too young to go together. I suspect that the mum has a lot of guilt about not being able to afford these things, and is trying to make it fair without realizing equality doesn't equal equity. Yeah, now all 5 kids will have gone to a concert, but the other 4 have seen bands that they enjoy. This kid's going to a concert that he won't enjoy, just in the spirit of first concert. Oh yeah, you're definitely not the yay hole, OP. That was a gift that you were giving to Morgan. Morgan's mum doesn't get to take that gift away. And also, that's not you telling her how to parent. You're just saying, I gave this as a gift to Morgan, and you're taking it away from Morgan, and that's not okay. And it isn't okay. That's bloody awful. I don't understand the thought process here, and I don't understand the audacity to even feel like you could do that, because there were 2 tickets. It's not like Morgan also gets to go. No, the mum took the 2 tickets and is choosing to take her son, even though they were a present to Morgan. That's so wild. And yeah, the son doesn't even like the band. Yeah, no, of course you're not the yay hole, OP. Post number 3 is called, Am I the yay hole for refusing to visit my mother-in-law after she fat shamed me following the birth of my baby? I, 26 female, and my husband, 26 male, just welcomed our first baby a few months ago. Him and I are overjoyed, and I'm so in love with our tiny bundle. My family has been super supportive, bringing us dinners and making sure that we had time for napping while we adjusted to parent life. My husband's family is different from mine in a lot of ways. They didn't want to visit us, and they only wanted us to come to them. They live about 20 minutes away, and didn't really care to offer much support following the birth. We were fine with it, and we brought our baby over when we were able to, around 3 times a month. After the first month, my mother-in-law began commenting about how much she prioritized losing the baby weight after she had her first baby. At first, I didn't think anything of it. I thought she was just voicing her experience, as many people do when they're around babies. She then started commenting on my baby's chubby cheeks and how similar they are to mine. I felt a bit hurt, but I let it slide once again. The final straw was when my husband was talking to her casually about me wanting to start going on runs again, and how we were planning on making it work since our baby is very attached to me. She very loudly said, "You're thinking about trying to run? Shouldn't you start with walking?" His whole family was in the room and looked at me waiting for my answer. I'm an avid runner who only stopped due to my pregnancy, and her comment really hurt. When I was a teenager, I had a really bad eating disorder, one that I'm still struggling with. Comments on my body or physical abilities are hurtful to hear, and she's somebody who I knew talked about people's bodies behind their backs, but I didn't think she would be so mean to my face. I'm not skinny by any means, but I live a healthy and active lifestyle, so my weight should not be my concern. This is where I feel like the yay hole. I don't want to see her anymore. She makes me feel like crap about myself, and my husband is backing me 100%. His mummy's angry because she thinks that we're just keeping her grandchild away from her and believes it's unfair. He goes there without me, but it is difficult to take our baby because she's exclusively breastfed and refuses bottles of any kind. Am I the yay hole? Edit. After reading the first few comments, I realized that I left out some information. I'm currently 5 months postpartum, and I have been fully cleared by my doctor to begin my running regimen. No, you're not the yay hole, OP. Your mother-in-law needs to stop saying stuff like that. And she also needs to realize that her actions have consequences. Like, yeah, you don't want to be around her anymore because she makes you feel like crap. That's not your fault fault, OP. Commenting on anybody's weight for any reason. Like, why? Come on. It's so unnecessary. And like the top comment says, not the a-hole, commenting on the weight of somebody who just had a baby is an incredible a-hole move. Nobody asked her. Yeah, mind your own business, mother-in-law. Oh, it's so frustrating. And these weird sort of passive-aggressive backhanded comments. Get out of here with that sort of stuff. And the mother-in-law can't say it's unfair. Oh, I'm being rude to somebody and now they don't want to be around me because of the rude stuff that I say. Oh no, are they the consequences of my actions? Like, is your mother-in-law not able to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I had no place to even make those sorts of comments? It is good to hear that your husband is backing you 100% though, OP. That's good at least. But yeah, you are so not the a-hole. Of course you're not going to want to be around somebody who makes you feel like crap. Post number 4 is called, am I the a-hole for refusing to make a cookie table for my son's wedding? My son is marrying Wendy and the wedding is this summer. She's not close to her own mother for multiple reasons and is pushing hard to have me fill in the gap. I'm not comfortable with it at all, especially with how hard she's pushing. She has multiple times overstepped boundaries such as inviting herself along, discussing very personal issues, very touchy, etc. And due to these problems, we're not very close and my own daughters are not a huge fan of her. She asked me this week if I would make the cookie table for the wedding. It's something the bride's own mother would do with other female relatives. This is the first time I've heard about this tradition and I did some research. I'd have to make over 1,000 cookies from scratch to feed the wedding guests. I asked my daughters if they wanted to do it and it was a strong no. I informed her that I can't do it. It's way too much work and I don't have the time. She told me okay and I thought that was it. My son called me up and told me that I'm a huge jerk, that Wendy has been crying about it and I should step up. I'm still refusing to do it. Am I the a-hole? Edit some common questions. Did daughter-in-law tell me the number? Yeah, she stated 1,000 to 1,200. What about family helping? She isn't close to her family so her side is out. My parents are in a home. I'm an only child. My husband has a sister and I doubt she wants to help. Daughter does not wish to, so it'd basically be me. Of course you're not the a-hole for saying that you don't want to make 1,000 cookies on your own, but you do seem really cold towards your daughter-in-law. Did it say they've done anything wrong? Overstep boundaries such as inviting herself along, discussing very personal issues and being very touchy? Right, okay, well yeah, of course you're not the a-hole for not making 1,200 cookies on your own, but like this comment says, there seems to be a huge empathy gap here from you towards your daughter-in-law. It sounds like she has little to no family support. She is probably hoping to be closer to her in-laws. It may also mean that her eagerness is causing her to display poor social skills. It also sounds like you and your daughters are only seeing that as an imposition to you and not offering any grace. You may reflect on what you've done to establish better boundaries with your daughter-in-law and to acknowledge her own experiences, because from the tone of your writing, it sounds like you've decided that she's annoying and you and your daughters are mean-girling the hell out of someone who wants to be close to you without having adult conversations about boundaries. You seem to be judging her for having a poor relationship with her family. That's an odd choice. Sometimes in-laws step up in times like these to bridge the gap for traditions that their future family members desire because their own family is not safe or supportive. They may do it to support their family member, in this case your son, rather than the in-law. You can certainly choose not to do that, but the relationship with your future daughter-in-law and your son is likely to be affected by the result. How embarrassing it must be for her to have a valued tradition like the cookie table and absolutely no personal family to take up the task. How mortifying to have to ask future family members and then be told no. I think you may be the a-hole in general based on how you write about this young woman, who seems to have had a rough go, family-wise. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, does that mean that you should make 1,000 cookies on your own? Of course not. But there has to be some sort of compromise you can come to. Yeah, like this comment says, do people ever think in compromise on Reddit? It's a cookie table. Set up a table. One of her bridesmaids and you and her fiance and her sends a note to every family or couple coming and asks them to bring a dozen cookies. We did this for a friend who got married in Pittsburgh. We got homemade, store-bought cupcakes, brownies, and since I don't bake, fudge. No one cared that it wasn't all homemade. It was fun and everybody got a nice selection for their gift bag. Yeah, it really just sounds like you don't want anything to do with your daughter-in-law, OP. Like your daughter-in-law wouldn't be crying about the fact that you don't want to make the cookies. She'd be upset because you're pretty much pushing her away. But no, you're not the a-hole because you don't want to make 1,200 cookies on your own. But it shouldn't have ended there. There should have been a compromise. I feel like this could have all been a lot more kind and understanding. But also, OP did leave a comment here that said she told me from scratch, as in the daughter-in-law didn't want store-bought cookies, she wanted them all to be made from scratch. I think she thought my daughters will be interested, but they aren't. But she basically said the mothers do this. Right, okay, well, you know, obviously she can't expect you to do that all on your own. And OP also left this comment. My parents are old and in a home. I'm an only child. My daughters don't have kids or are married. My husband has a sister, but she's older and I highly doubt that she'd be interested. His parents are dead. She doesn't really talk to her family, so that gets rid of that whole side. So yeah, it would be me making 1,000 cookies. Yeah, well, that's not realistic either. Right, okay, so I think you definitely are not the a-hole, OP. It's just sad though, because it seems like the daughter-in-law is trying to get closer to you, and I hope that does happen, but she can't expect you to make all these cookies on your own, and if your daughter-in-law isn't willing to compromise, then yeah, that isn't your fault. Okay, let's move on. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdad that feeding his kids is not my problem? And so what when he tried to say that they'd go hungry? My mum had a major surgery 2 weeks ago. She's still in the hospital and won't be home for another few weeks. I, 16 male, am home with my stepdad and my half-brother and sister, since my dad isn't in the picture, but my half-siblings go to our grandparents during the day and my stepdad picks them up after work. Sometimes he'll keep them with our grandparents for a few extra hours if he is visiting mum and stuff. My stepdad also has 2 kids from his other marriage. His daughter is 11 and his son is 10. My stepdad's kids treat my mum like crap. They're being trained to act like that by their mum, and my stepdad and her have been in court so many times in the last 5 years, but nothing has changed with their behaviour towards mum, and him and his ex still fight often about it. His kids call my mum names, say that she feeds them crap, tell her that she's fat and ugly, and they gag whenever they know she cooked for everybody. It's gross. Ew. How could you be so awful? They sound bloody insufferable, OP. They told my mum that their mum was better than her in every single way and she'll never be good. My stepdad punishes them and all that, but it's crazy how hateful they are to my mum. They're also really rude to mum's family. I don't really have any affection or patience for them, so we don't interact, but mum gets it a lot. When my mum was brought to the hospital, they said, "Good, we hope she dies." Oh, get out of here. My stepdad looked incredibly pissed at them and he intervened immediately, but all of this means I want nothing to do with them, and I'm so glad when they're not at our house. I really dislike them. Oh my god, of course you dislike them, OP. How dare they say stuff like that? I can't get over that. Of course you don't like them. My stepdad wants me to feed his kids anyway. He gets home late and he doesn't want to pay for them to stay with the sitter for an hour or two. He also doesn't want to send them to their mum, which I get, so he wants me to provide some food for them, and I said no. He told me his kids need to eat, and I said it's not my issue, and he does not want me left in charge of his kids ever. He told me they'll go hungry without somebody to prepare something, and I said so what? He told me that my attitude could use some work. Bro, your kids literally said they hope that OP's mum died. What, you think that doesn't need work? He said that he needs my help and he's sorry they said what they said, but I need to understand that their mum has poisoned them so much. He told me that it won't be forever and I make myself food already, so can't I make some extra food? Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. Your stepdad is lucky that you even look at the kids anymore. If I told somebody that my mum was in hospital and they told me, "Good, I hope she dies in there," I would never speak to them again. And that's the end of it. You can't say stuff like that. And also, they're not gonna starve. Your stepdad can sort something out. And yeah, you're right, OP. It 100% is not your responsibility. It's wild the stepdad even feels like you need to do it. Like this comment says, not the a-hole. They wished your mother dead. That's the end. Yeah, definitely. There's no coming back from that. You can't say that to somebody and then expect everything to be fine. Am I the a-hole for accepting money from my parents for my wedding and then eloping? My parents gave each of my brothers $50,000 when they graduated from university as a down payment on their home. When I graduated, they did not do the same for me. I asked about it and they said that my husband should provide. I wasn't married. I still lived at home. 3 years later, I met my husband. We dated for a year and then we got engaged. My parents were overjoyed. When we set a date, they gave me a check for $50,000 to pay for the wedding. What the hell? I took the check and we eloped. We then used the check for a down payment on a house. My husband had a similar amount saved up, so we were in a good spot with equity. My parents are furious that they didn't get a big wedding for all of their friends and family to attend. They said they gave me the money for a wedding. My argument is that I got married and I had leftover money. Accurate in my books. My brothers are on their side, so I'm here to ask if I'm in the wrong. Am I the a-hole? Okay, so there's a bit more information in some comments here. Somebody commented, "Everybody sucks here. Your parents are clearly sexist. They should have given you that money when you graduated. What if you didn't want to get married? I also think if they gave you the money for your wedding, you could have had a small wedding and invited them, and then use the rest for a house, so you at least use part of it for what they intended." And OP said, "That's what I did. It was just a very small wedding." And the other person said, "Were your parents invited? If yes, then I'll change to not the a-hole." And OP said, "Yeah, they were invited and they came." And the comment under that says, "Well, that's not eloping then. You just had a small wedding. You didn't run away and get married secretly." Yeah, so with that information, that makes it even more not the a-hole. The money that your parents gave to your brothers was meant to be for a down payment on a house. Why does yours have to be for the wedding? And like this comment said, the house will help you for life. A bunch of money on a wedding won't do anything for you. Yeah, how's it fair that the brothers get to use that money for a down payment on a house, but you don't even have a choice? And when they said that they eloped and stuff, it sounds like they took 50 grand from their parents and then ran away and got married. But they did have a wedding and their parents went. Shouldn't they be happy that you're being smart with the money? But no, they felt like the husband should pay for the down payment on the house. Is that right? The top comment says, "Not the a-hole. Your family's being horrible and using a BS double standard. They didn't expect your brothers to use the money for a big wedding, but you have to. They wouldn't have helped you get a home unless it was through marriage, but your brothers didn't have that condition and just got the money, and they expected you to have a huge wedding so that they could have fun. Saving up the money is the responsible thing to do, and they're being bad parents if they'd rather you spent it all on a huge wedding that you don't even want. And just a question to be clear, there was a wedding and they were invited, right? They're angry because it wasn't big enough, and OP said there was a wedding, but yeah, they're just upset that you didn't spend all of the 50 grand on the wedding, which is so understandable too. Like, yeah, you didn't want to spend all of the money. Yeah, I don't know, that's pretty confusing on the parent side. But yeah, I don't feel like you're the a-hole, OP. Story number 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law that she needs to stop telling my 6-year-old to be ladylike? I'm a dad of 3, 10 female, 10 male, and 6 female. My 10-year-old daughter is pretty girly, but my 6-year-old daughter follows my son around like his little shadow, and is what people sometimes call a tomboy. I have no idea if that's an offensive term now, but I apologize if it is. She loves sports and being outside with her big brother, and they're pretty close. For the spring, she just started playing lacrosse, which my 10-year-old son has been playing for years, and they've been spending so much time together outside practicing. It is pretty cool to watch as a dad, since I was worried about my singleton bonding with the twins when she was born. Anyway, my mother-in-law was over the other day, and the kids were outside playing while we were on the porch watching, and my wife was making dinner. They were just playing catch, and my son leaned over to spit, so my 6-year-old did the same. My mother-in-law said nothing to my son about it, but yelled, "Rosa, you need to be more ladylike. Don't copy your brother when he does that." I told her it wasn't that big of a deal, but she insisted that we need to get this under control because Rosa doesn't act like a lady and is getting too old to think it's okay. I argued with her a bit and she ended up leaving. Now my wife is mad because she thinks I disrespected her mother and should have understood that it's cultural for my mother-in-law and that she'll always think this way. If it matters, I'm a white guy from New England and my wife's mum is from Nigeria, but my wife was born and raised in the US. My wife is insisting that I need to be more understanding of the cultural differences and understand where her mum is coming from. Edit, guys, this isn't a spitting in public debate. I would have been fine if my mother-in-law corrected both the kids because spitting is gross. I'm annoyed that she only corrected my daughter because of her gender. Can we please stick to the issue at hand? Yeah, you're not in the wrong, OP. Your wife needs to be on your side and your daughter's side, not just backing up your mother-in-law. Yeah, I think you're totally right, OP. Like this comment says, not the a-hole. You can absolutely understand cultural differences and still understand that they're wrong. All mother-in-law is doing is enforcing gender roles. Why? Partly out of an innate selfish desire to see our offspring reflect our own identities, and partly because they want the next generation to fit in and not have problems. But a girl being whatever she wants when she becomes a woman isn't a problem in this country. Your wife is on the wrong side of this argument. Yeah, definitely. And like this comment says, not the a-hole, the kid's being a kid. Your wife's the disrespectful one. She needs to tell her mum not to say those things in your house because it's a cultural thing that guests let their parents parent. Let her use her reasoning on her mother instead. Your mother-in-law is also the a-hole. She can believe what she wants to, but it's not her place to yell at a 6-year-old, and definitely not for some nebulous thing like being more ladylike. A 6-year-old doesn't know what that means. If she does have concerns, she can talk to you calmly when the kids aren't around. Story number 3. Am I the a-hole for letting my kids disturb my husband during an important work meeting after he said that he would handle them for a day to prove how easy my job is? I'm 31 female and my husband is 36 male. We have 2 boys, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. My husband works in an office and he has the option to work a few days a week from home, but he prefers not to because he says that it's easier to focus in the office. I run a small business from home. I don't have a lot of daily work, just some emails and planning, maybe 3 hours a day, but the business does make about 1/3 of our household income. But my younger son is home all day and just dealing with him takes a lot of energy. He's really high energy and will probably wreck something if you leave him alone for an hour. And then the older one comes home at 3 and both of them are with me until 8 or 9, which is when my husband usually comes home. A few days ago, I was really tired and I didn't make dinner. When my husband came home, I asked him if he would just order something. He was also tired and we were both pretty short-tempered, so we ended up snapping at each other. He said that I should have at least ordered before he got home and he was hungry. I said I forgot and it's not fair that food is always my issue. He said that I'm home all day and I even admit that I don't have much work to do, so I'm basically a stay-at-home mum and I should at least take care of dinner. I said he has no idea how much I do every day, and then he said that he'd handle the kids for an entire day while also working from home, just to prove that it should be easy for me. I said sure, so he made the arrangements to work from home yesterday. I slept in and when I woke up he was already frazzled from getting the older one ready for school. He ended up having to cancel a meeting to make breakfast and was worried about that. Then when he took another meeting later on, the boys went out to play in the yard and got super muddy and left footprints all over the house, which he then had to mop up, and I didn't help at all. By this point I did feel sort of guilty because it was definitely harder for him to take care of work at the same time, but all I wanted was an apology. He said that he was doing this to show that I do nothing all day, and if he just admitted that he was wrong, I would have helped out straight away. Later on he had another meeting and he told the boys not to bother him for an hour, but about 20 minutes in they got into an argument about something and our younger one went into my husband's room to complain. He was really loud and my husband's video was also on. Then he told the kid to leave him alone, but he was upset and crying and wasn't listening. After a few minutes my husband went back to the meeting and apologized to the other people. When it was finished, he was really angry at me. He said that I could see what was happening and I just watched him struggle without helping. I said all you had to say was please. He said that I shouldn't be so petty and prideful. This probably did make him look a bit stupid in front of his manager, but it was only a few minutes and I don't think it was the huge deal that he made it out to be. Right, okay, it's petty that this even happened. Your husband shouldn't need to feel like he needs to prove to you that you do nothing all day and then organizes to work from home so that he can prove to you that you don't do any work. That's all completely petty to start with. Like, are you a team or not? He should know that you don't just sit around and do nothing all day. It shouldn't have even gotten to this point. And also, he called you, OP, petty and prideful when, like, he's being petty by even doing any of this. And yeah, he said that he'd prove to you that he can handle the kids and he couldn't handle the kids. Why is he trying to, like, one-up you or something? It's so stupid. Like, you're a couple. You're on the same team. You don't need to try and prove each other wrong. Yeah, like this comment says, he's seriously saying that you shouldn't be so petty and prideful while you are being petty with reason. He is the one being prideful. All he had to do was admit that he was wrong and you would have helped, but he chose to screw up in front of his manager rather than admit fault. Not the a-hole. Yeah, that's right. And what was the point of any of it? To make you feel bad, OP? Yeah, like this comment says, you're not the a-hole. He said that he was doing this to show that I do nothing all day. Automatic a-hole energy there. He was really angry at me. He said I could see what was happening and I just watched him struggle without helping. What you could see is what your day-to-day life is like, just starring him for a change. He said I shouldn't be so petty and prideful. Look who's talking. Yeah, that's the most annoying part about this. The husband is being so bloody petty and prideful by even saying that he was going to do this. And yeah, like the comment said, he said he was doing this to show that I do nothing all day. That's definitely automatic a-hole energy. Yeah, you're not the a-hole, OP. And little petty stuff like this is so toxic for a relationship. He needs to be way more understanding instead of being like, oh, I'm going to prove my wife wrong. What does that accomplish? Nothing. Story number 4. Am I the a-hole for letting somebody skip my bachelorette party and not telling them new details that would have changed their mind? Apologies in advance as I did have a hard time writing this situation in a single sentence. My brother has been trying to push me to get closer to his girlfriend Mary, together for 3 months. I've done my best to get to know her, initiating dinners and trying her hobbies with her, etc. But we don't really get along. I personally think she's a snob. She complimented my designer bag but took the compliment back when she found out that it was thrifted. As in literally said, yike, I take that back. While she thinks I lack culture and sophistication, also something she has mentioned when trying to convince me to do a makeover with her. The issue is that I'm getting married this year and my brother has been really trying to get her involved. I put my foot down with the bridal party because they've only been dating for 3 months and I don't know her, but he insisted that I invite her to the bachelorette. It was supposed to be super low-key and local. Mary tried to push for something more extravagant, but it really wasn't in my budget. When I wouldn't budge, she told us something came up that weekend and she couldn't go. I was later surprised by my friends who had come together to organise a lavish weekend through favours and points, i.e. one of my friend's aunts works for a spa, so she was able to get discounted packages. Another used her travel points to book a suite. I was not told about this and I was truly and happily surprised. The issue is that Mary found out when we posted pictures and she was pissed. My brother's now saying that I deliberately left her out, but she told me that she was busy. Mary said that if she had known what the weekend was like though, she would have rearranged her schedule. I feel conflicted because I suspect that my friends didn't tell Mary on purpose, but they're claiming that they made these plans after Mary bowed out and didn't reach back out since she was busy. My brother still says that I should have double checked and made more of an effort to let Mary know my plans, so I figured that I'd ask the internet for their thoughts. No way, OP. What, you should double check and make an effort to let Mary know your plans? Mary, that's obviously so bloody shallow. Like what, they don't care about you, OP, but they care about how nice the event was, and they're upset that they didn't get to enjoy it, but they weren't going to go to support you. The way this reads makes it sound like Mary is super shallow, does not really care about you, OP, is yes, snobbish and rude and says comments like you lack culture and sophistication, judgmental as well about the designer bag and stuff. And yeah, they were too busy when it wasn't going to be super lavish, but they were interested the second that the plans were changing. Yeah, Mary sounds kind of insufferable, OP. I don't blame you for not wanting to get closer to her. The top comment says not the a-hole and your brother needs to back off. You don't need to be his snooty girlfriend's bestie. You extended an invitation to your bachelorette. She declined the invitation, feigning that she had other plans. Your friend surprised you with a spa weekend. The issue is that Mary found out when we posted pictures and she was pissed. My brother is now saying that I deliberately left her out, but she told me that she was busy. Mary said that if she had known what the weekend was like though, she would have rearranged her schedule. By the way, before we even finish reading this comment, Mary is literally saying there that they don't care about you, OP. Mary sounds awful. This situation falls into the category of not your problem. If Miss Snooty Patooty's schedule was too busy for a night at Dave & Buster's, she's still too busy for a spa weekend. Your brother's delusional if he thinks his girlfriend matters to anybody but him. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, hey brother, can you not see how awful Mary is? The comment under that says, right. In other words, what Mary is saying is, I don't care about you enough to rearrange to celebrate you, but I do care about me having a good time enough to figure out scheduling in order to have a good time for me. And this comment too, not the a-hole. Where does Mary get off claiming that you deliberately left her out after she told you that she was busy? If she's busy and wouldn't be able to attend. If she really wasn't busy, she lied. Either way, she hasn't got a leg to stand on here, and she is a snob, which she proved when she complimented your handbag but took it back when she found out it came second hand. It's the same bag, Mary. The same bag. This woman has her priorities wrong. You can only hope that your brother wakes up to her nonsense soon and leaves her behind. Yeah, definitely. Mary only cares about herself, and that is so obvious here. You're not the a-hole, OP. Story number 5. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law to please keep her criticisms to herself and eventually kicking her out of lunch? I, female 32, am a mum to a beautiful little girl, female 6, and she's been telling me all about a new cafe that her friend went to which serves princess cakes. She told me it's very fancy and people only go for special occasions when they can dress up. I had a look online and they specialize in high teas. It looked lovely and I knew it'd make my daughter happy, so I booked a table. Unfortunately for me, this place is brand new and very popular, so while I initially wanted to book for Mother's Day in a couple of weeks, I could only arrange a table for today. I thought we could still do it as an early Mother's Day celebration, so I also invited my mum, female 60, and my mother-in-law, female 64. My daughter was so excited. She wore her favorite dress and told everybody that she'd be just like a princess. It was so lovely to share her joy. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, was not so thrilled. Now, it's important to note that while my mother-in-law does have a heart of gold, she's very salt of the earth and is quite frugal. I don't mean it as a criticism. It's just who she is. Despite it being my treat, my mother-in-law insisted that the whole thing was a waste of money, that the cakes were beyond ridiculous in their size and it was all a bit pretentious. She's obviously entitled to her opinion, but I could see that her comments were sapping some of my daughter's joy. Even when my daughter said that this is what princesses eat, after a comment about how ridiculous it all looks, my mother-in-law said that princesses would want a proper meal and not something that's fit only to feed birds. Oh, get out of here. Eventually, I asked my mother-in-law to accompany me to the bathroom, and I asked her to please keep her criticisms and negative comments to herself. We were trying to have a nice day together, but more importantly, my daughter had really been looking forward to this, and it was difficult for her to enjoy it when somebody is constantly acting negatively. My mother-in-law said that I was giving my daughter far too much credit. She wouldn't understand half of the criticisms, and even if she did, it's important that she understands the value of money. Oh, get out of here. Oh my god. Eventually, I asked her to please leave if she couldn't let my daughter enjoy herself, which is what she did. Now my mother-in-law is telling the family that I cut her out of the Mother's Day celebration because she was too frugal and couldn't pander to a child. I know she's being ridiculous, but my husband is saying that I could have just kept the peace for a couple of hours. Nah, dude. But I instead chose to act drastically. He said the family being together is more important than whether somebody feels a restaurant is overpriced. Did I act drastically? Was I the a-hole? Edit, thank you to everybody for your comments. I went away for a few hours and this blew up. I'm trying to read through everything, but I do appreciate you all taking time to share your opinions. No, you did the right thing, OP. You definitely shouldn't have kept the peace. Your mother-in-law was being unnecessarily negative. Like, why the hell does she feel like she needs to say any of that sort of stuff? And yeah, she couldn't stop herself from saying that stuff. And she couldn't go, oh, well, maybe this isn't about me and it isn't about the stuff that I'm talking about. Maybe we could let your daughter have fun instead of turning it into something negative. And she couldn't do that, so she left. The mother-in-law is definitely in the wrong, and so's your husband, OP. Why the hell should the mother-in-law be allowed to be there if all she's doing is making everybody uncomfortable? The top comment says, not the a-hole, and your husband is 100% wrong. I hate this notion that family being together is more important. No, it's not. In this case, if somebody is being rude throughout the meal, you should get them to leave. Why excuse their bad behavior? If mother-in-law was spewing racist comments during the meal, nobody would be saying, oh, just keep the peace. It's more important for family to be together. No, it isn't. Not if you're making everybody else uncomfortable. Please show this to your husband. And the comment under that says, I'd say the husband is 100% right. Family being together is more important than a restaurant being overpriced. That's why his mother should have kept her mouth shut and kept the peace herself instead of uttering her warmongering comments. It wasn't OP who was threatening the peace. It was shattered the moment the little girl called onto the criticism and her grandmother was too far up her own butt to let her have her princess day. You're not the a-hole. Yeah, like, did somebody call the fun police? Why would you want them to be there anyway? You 100% did the right thing, OP. Story number 6. Am I the a-hole because I won't give my brother daycare for $25 a day? I, 33 female, recently divorced mum, operate an in-home daycare with my sister. For the last few weeks, we've been caring for our 10-month-old nephew, our brother's son, with the expectation that my brother will eventually start paying us, including back pay. We've cared for my nephew 14 days so far, about 4 to 7 hours a day. My brother wants me to charge only $25 per day, whereas we usually charge $60 per day. When I made a case that $30 per day is reasonable, he responded, 1. I'm not a client, I'm your brother and he's your nephew first off. When you and ex-husband were considering selling your home, I was going to do 1% commission instead of 3% because you're family, which roughly would have been about an $8,500 pay cut. This was never discussed. Number 2, I did pay hundreds for daycare, and I have no problem doing it again. The difference is the daycare, I know 100% I can take my son there. With him going to you guys, we have to figure out a solution using leave hours. Anytime the house is down with sickness or you go on vacation, I'm compensating based on the amount of work you have to do for the 3 to 4 hours that he's there. Actually, hourly, it's more than compensating. It's not my fault you chose a route where you don't make a lot of money, but that damn sure doesn't make it my responsibility to make up for it. Number 4, I think your mindset is a little twisted. You have the opportunity to see and build a relationship with your nephew and get paid for it separately, where we don't count towards your attendance. That's either $400 to $450 a month for seeing your nephew, or if you want to be petty, it can easily be $0. Number 5, y'all are the ones that said over and over again you wanted to see my nephew more often and wish that he would go there. I'm not by any means strapped for money, where I can't easily put him back in daycare full time, but y'all wanted to watch him, and I knew it would bring some extra money your way at the same time, so it should be a win-win. Where you have it messed up is you think that I need to take him there, and you want to talk like he's just another kid, or I'm just another client. I'm not the one to be getting in a back and forth with. If you want the money every month to see your nephew, then you need to check yourself, or I'll keep him the rest of this week and we'll start somewhere else next week. I'm not here to play you're hurting my feelings games. Let me know, but this isn't a back and forth. I thought it was a good way for him to spend time with his family and to put some money in your pocket. If it's a problem already, just say so, and I'll gladly make other arrangements. After that, I responded that I thought his message was entitled and disrespectful, and I think it's best that we don't continue a business relationship. My brother says that I'm entitled, my mindset is twisted, and I should say less. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. You're doing something for him. He's bloody acting like he's doing you a favor. That's so frustrating. He's been taking advantage of you, OP, and I bet you he's just upset that you don't like it. Like this comment says, not the a-hole, you're doing him a favor, not the other way around. I love that he tried to flip that on you. Here, I'll do you a favor. Look after my child in lieu of a kid who pays the full amount, and relish the time that he's ever so graciously allowing you with your nephew. Well, bugger that. You did the right thing. I don't know why he fails to realize whether it's in your home or not. You're running a daycare. He made his bed. Now he can lie in it. Yeah, and the audacity to be telling you what to do, OP. And this comment too. Not the a-hole. Tell him to go back to paying for expensive daycare tomorrow. 1, brother is unhappy with a 50% discount. 2, brother fails to see that his child will be taken care of by family, not strangers. And also the brother acts like he's doing you a favor by dropping off his kid and paying you anything. Tomorrow, that's the day that he needs to go pay strangers a ton of money to watch his kid. Yeah, your brother has a lot of audacity, OP. Story number 7. Am I the a-hole for calling my parents' plan stupid? I, 17 male, have a sister, 1 month away from 15, who recently had 3 of her good friends die. Oh god. She was very energetic and, to be honest, rather girly before that. Now she stopped styling her hair, something she spent a lot of time and effort doing once. She does the bare minimum bathing and grooming and wears the same few hoodies and sweatpants. More strangely, she's been going at cardboard boxes with a knife until they look like the product of an angry animal. She's also been drawing herself hanging out and doing activities with these 2 characters that I've never heard of. Sunny from Omori and Chris from Deltarune. If anybody has knowledge, appreciated. Our parents want to incentivize her to go back to her old self. They talked about removing the non-pink and white girl stuff from her closet while she's showering and redecorating her room while she's at a cheer practice, which they haven't let her quit after she asked, to try and get her into the correct headspace. I straight up laughed and called that the dumbest idea I ever heard. They ignored me at first, but I continued and said that I will not let them live their failure down. They said if they wanted my thoughts, they'd ask. Things got heated and I said that with them, there's no wonder she's miserable. They've begun to give me the silent treatment. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole, OP. From what we just read, it sounds like the parents are trying to make it just disappear. That's awfully traumatic for your sister. She's gonna be grieving. There's no way to suddenly make things better, you know? And like the top comment says, what she needs is grief counseling with a therapist, and OP said done. The comment under that says, does done mean that she's already in grief counseling and it isn't helping? And OP said no, it means that she's in it. Not the a-hole. Your sister is going through something traumatic and needs to grieve. Your parents sound like they're trying to just make it go away when she needs to go through the process of grieving. If your parents want to do something to help her, they need to take her to therapy. Yeah, you're not the a-hole, OP, and it does sound like you're there for your sister, which is awesome. Make sure you just be as supportive as you can be. And I feel like that's definitely enough for today. That was an adventure of an episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, time for something wholesome. Morning snuggles with my wife in bed. It's Saturday. Nothing to do today. The kids are still asleep. It's raining. Oh my god. It just keeps on getting better. That's so beautiful. And yeah, that sounds awesome. Always sift your flour to remove lumps. Oh, can I please keep it? Beautiful little kitty cat and such a cute little sleeping face. So fluffy and clean too. Adorable. It doesn't matter what difficulty you play on in a game, as long as you're having fun. Oh yeah, definitely. When I was a kid, I used to feel so bad for for playing Minecraft on peaceful mode, but I just didn't want to have to deal with the monsters, you know? And that's completely fine. Tapping somebody on their left shoulder but being on the right. Wow, that's so funny. We've definitely all done this. Like, hey, made you look. That's so cute. And on that beautiful note, that's enough for today. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more Am I the Yay-Hole episodes, or really any episodes, make sure you like and subscribe and let me know down below what you thought. And the comment of the day goes to Moonriser. To anybody who reads this, I hope you have a lovely day. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you for commenting this. And yeah, I also hope that you guys have a lovely day. Thank you for commenting that, Moonriser. And thank you for the support. It means so much to me. Also, let me know down below, guys, what you thought of today's thumbnail on the episode. I feel like the yellow background makes it a little bit more fun. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!